Chapter 1837. However, the southern stargrass was different from other spiritual herbs. Older southern stargrass did not have the same value as the entire plant. Just like the southern stargrass in front of him, the most valuable part was the tender leaves at the top that were eaten by the unknown demon beast, followed by the roots and the rest of the leaves. However, this was from Tang Ao's point of view. If it was an ordinary alchemist or herbivorous demon beast, this southern stargrass would be a treasure from head to toe. The southern stargrass was a sixth-tier spiritual herb. In the flying star continent, where there was only vitality, this spiritual herb shouldn't appear. However, Tang Ao now knew that although they both belonged to the flying star continent, the inside and outside of the hidden dragon caves were two completely different worlds. Before Tang Ao entered the hidden dragon crypt, he had deeply felt how thin the heaven-earth yuan qi outside the hidden dragon crypt was. So Tang Ao deduced that there definitely wouldn't be any high-level spirit herbs outside the hidden dragon crypt. In the hidden dragon caves, not every area was the same. Inside the Evergreen Valley was a world, and outside the Evergreen Valley was another world. Now, the Scarlet Wasteland that Tang Ao and the others explored was only one area of the Evergreen Valley. However, in this area, there was a heaven-defying treasure like the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus. At the same time, the treasures in the Evergreen Valley were not limited to this. Tang Ao had seen images of the depths of the Evergreen Valley and knew that there was a heaven-defying treasure like the Kunlun flower in the depths of the Evergreen Valley. There were many treasures in the Evergreen Valley, but it didn't mean that there was nothing outside the Evergreen Valley. Outside the Qingyun village was a forest with a natural trapping array. In this forest, there was an ancient spiritual herb called the Starflower. After Tang Ao's Sea of Soul recovered a little, Tang Ao had been thinking about moving the entire forest into the chaotic hexagram mirror space. However, Tang Ao was busy with trivial matters and had no time to do this. After discovering this stalk of Erisima stargrass that had been bitten by a demonic beast, Tang Ao hesitated for a moment before preparing to look for this picky little fellow. The reason why he said it was a little guy was because Tang Ao saw a small footprint similar to that of a kitten on the soft mud. Out of curiosity, Tang Ao released his soul remembrance in all directions. Under Tang Ao's perception, everything around him became incomparably clear. However, other than the small footprint on the soft mud and the teeth marks left on the Erisima grass, Tang Ao could not find any trace of this little guy. After searching for a while, but still to no avail, Tang Ao decided to head toward the hillside where the Yuan Yang grass was. Although Tang Ao didn't have a spiritual pet by his side, Tang Ao actually had two spiritual pets. However, Tang Ao had been alone for a long time in his previous life. In this life, Tang Ao had already treated these two little fellows as little brothers and sisters. However, the accident in the underworld Emperor's secret realm caused Tang Hua and Tang Yu's whereabouts to be unknown. However, Tang Ao wasn't worried about these two fellows. These two fellows could freely switch between human and beast forms, so their survival naturally wasn't a problem. However, Tang Ao's spirit sea was completely shattered, and his soul sea had only recovered a small portion. Therefore, Tang Ao was still unable to sense Tang Yu and Tang Hua's location. Chapter 1838. Although Tang Ao had seen a fifth-level origin martial realm white-browed monstrous wolf, Tang Ao was certain that there was no white-browed monstrous wolf in the battle. That was because the white-browed monstrous wolf was a wind attribute monstrous beast. However, at that moment, there was a constant fluctuation of icy and flame-like yuan qi coming from the valley. With Tang Ao's current cultivation, Tang Ao should naturally stay as far away from this level of battle as possible. However, after pondering for a moment, Tang Ao still decided to take a look. Monstrous beasts were different from human martial artists. Monstrous beasts had extremely low intelligence, but they were extremely cautious. Therefore, unless there was a sufficiently tempting treasure, It was not easy for two monstrous beasts of equal strength to fight. However, at that moment, the two monstrous beasts in the valley were not only fighting. Their fight was also abnormally fierce. At that moment, Tang Ao was still very far away. However, the surging yuan qi in the surroundings made Tang Ao's robe flutter in the wind. After Tang Ao got closer, Tang Ao also clearly saw the two guys fighting at that moment. The two guys' bodies were extremely asymmetrical, but their cultivation was the same. After clearly seeing the cultivation of the two monstrous beasts, Tang Ao secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. So far, these two monstrous beasts were the two most powerful monstrous beasts that Tang Ao had seen since coming to the Flying Star continent. They were a lava python and a snow-winged spirit cat. After seeing the white kitten, which was about the size of an ordinary puppy, Tang Ao knew that the Earth Star grass he saw earlier had already been eaten by this little guy. At that moment, this snow-winged spirit cat seemed to have been born not too long ago. Although it was strong, it was somewhat naive. The snow-winged spirit cat could be counted as a monstrous beast from ancient times. Its strength was abnormally strong. It was said that an adult snow-winged spirit cat could even feed on sea dragons and flood dragons. Its strength could be imagined. Tang Ao did not know why there was a snow-winged spirit cat here either, but Tang Ao had already planned to tame it. But it was not easy for Tang Ao to do that. After all, Tang Ao only had the cultivation of the first level of the origin realm, but the snow-winged spirit cat and the lava python were existences at the 6th level of the origin realm. Therefore, if Tang Ao wanted to tame the snow-winged spirit cat, he would have to wait for the opportunity. Tang Ao could tell that this snow-winged spirit cat had not been born for long and did not have the slightest bit of combat experience. It only had some shallow combat instincts. Even the snow-winged spiritual cat's innate abilities couldn't be displayed. Therefore, when fighting against this lava python of the same realm, the snow-winged spirit cat could not gain the slightest advantage. In spirit, Tang Ao was B-spirit beast with level beast with spirit Tang spirit beast of the flame rank, above snow spirit beast with W-winged rank, spirit beast with W-winged beast. In Tang Ao's previous life, Tang Ao had seen astral reaching realm level 9 snow-winged spirit cat. It was an extremely beautiful beast race girl, and Tang Ao had only seen her once. However, at that time, Tang Ao did not even have the thought of spending the rest of his life with someone. Therefore, he naturally did not have anything to do with her. Right now, Tang Ao only knew that she was the holy lady of the beast race, and that she was very powerful. Other than that, Tang Ao knew nothing else. Chapter 1839. As for the lava python that was fighting with the snow-winged spirit cat, it could at most reach the Sea of Souls realm. Due to the uniqueness of the Flying Star continent, it was extremely difficult to even reach the Sea of Souls realm. However, at this moment, after the lava python injured the snow-winged spirit cat with a big fireball, it continued to attack fiercely, as if it wanted to swallow the cat whole. Although there were many powerful demonic beasts in this area, each demonic beast had its own territory. This hot spring valley was the territory of the lava python. However, the snow-winged spirit cat seemed to like this warm valley, so it came to compete with the lava python for territory. Of course, the reason why the snow-winged spirit cat was able to find this place was because the lava python had snatched an ice frost fruit from it a few days ago. The ice frost fruit was a kind of spirit grass with the ice attribute, which happened to be the nemesis of the lava python. Although the snow-winged spirit cat did not understand the nature of the nemesis, it still knew that the delicious fruit in front of it could not be eaten. Moreover, that delicious fruit was wasted by this ugly guy. Therefore, the snow-winged spirit cat decided to never forgive this ugly guy this time. Just when Tang Ao was considering whether or not to help, Tang Ao suddenly saw the snow-winged spirit cat open its mouth and spit out an ice mist. This ice mist was very powerful. After the ice mist touched the hot spring, it actually froze the hot spring. The lava python did not want to be outdone. It spat out a burst of flames from its mouth, colliding with the ice mist of the snow-winged spirit cat. At first, the flames were able to resist the icy mist, but not long after, the icy mist actually followed the flames and froze the flames spat out by the lava python. Moreover, the icy mist spread along the flames, and soon, the huge lava python was frozen into an ice sculpture. Tang Ao secretly took a step back. Just a moment ago, Tang Ao had said that this little guy did not know how to use the snow-winged spirit cat's talent secret skill. In the blink of an eye, he had been slapped in the face. Looking at the ice mist that had frozen everything around him, Tang Ao secretly thought that if he was frozen by this ice mist, he would probably end up like this lava python. Bang! Along with a loud bang, the lava python that was frozen by the lava python shook its huge body and glared fiercely at the snow-winged spirit cat with its triangular eyes. Tang Ao felt a burst of helplessness in his heart. Just now, the snow-winged spirit cat's icy mist had frozen the lava python for 15 breaths of time. For such a long time, the lava python was completely unable to move. As long as a monster beast had the slightest bit of spiritual wisdom, they would know that they had to quickly deal with the lava python. However, after the snow-winged spirit cat froze the lava python, it just stood there in a daze. It seemed to know that its ice mist couldn't kill the lava python, so it continued to fight out. Tang Ao knew that the snow-winged spirit cat had missed its best opportunity. Although the snow-winged spirit cat's ice mist was powerful, its speed was very slow. If the lava python hadn't spat out flames to block it, causing the snow-winged spirit cat's ice mist to follow the flame pillar and freeze the lava python. And if it hadn't dodged, the snow-winged spirit cat's ice mist wouldn't have been able to hit the lava python at all. Chapter 1840. Then the thick snake tail lashed at the snow-winged spirit cat like a whip. Facing the sudden attack of the lava python, the snow-winged spirit cat was far more agile than Tang Ao imagined. In Tang Ao's mind, the snow-winged spirit cat would definitely be finished under the attack of the lava python. However, what Tang Ao didn't expect was that the snow-winged spirit cat's pair of snow-white wings suddenly opened, and then the snow-winged spirit cat flew out with a whoosh. After flying in the air, the snow-winged spirit cat saw the huge tail of the lava python and swooped down fiercely. At the same time, its sharp claws were exposed. These claws flashed a cold light under the eyes of the lava python, as if they were sharper than the sharpest dagger. Clang! An ear-piercing sound like a nail scratching a piece of iron came out. Although the snow-winged spirit cat's claws grabbed the tail of the lava python, under the terrifying defense of the lava python, the snow-winged spirit cat's attack was completely ineffective. Hey, something's wrong. At first, Tang Ao thought that the snow-winged spirit cat's attack power wasn't enough to break the defense of the lava python, but soon Tang Ao knew that he was wrong. This was because Tang Ao saw a silver piece of metal where the snow-winged spirit cat injured the lava python. The lava python didn't know what this piece of metal was, but it just so happened that the snow-winged spirit cat's attack hit this unknown piece of metal. Tang Ao's left hand formed a sign in front of his body and immediately opened the sky polar pupil to look at the lava python. Then, Tang Ao saw the strange piece of metal inside the lava python's body. This bright silver piece of metal was not a piece of metal, but a wrist guard. This wrist guard had a faint fluctuation of elemental energy, obviously not an ordinary item. After the snow-winged spirit cat's attack was ineffective, the snow-winged spirit cat also flapped its wings in the air, seemingly looking for an opportunity to attack again. However, after being scratched by the snow-winged spirit cat, the lava python became abnormally violent. As the lava python let out a strange roar, a strange sound wave spread throughout the valley. This sound wave did not have any physical attack power. It sounded like it was calling something. Tang Ao was silently on guard. However, when Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to look around, he didn't find anything special nearby. Immediately, Tang Ao's attention returned to the battle between the snow-winged spirit cat and the lava python. Although the snow-winged spirit cat lacked combat experience, it was still fearless. After fighting with the lava python for so long, the snow-winged spirit cat realized that the lava python's attacks couldn't hurt it at all, so it launched another attack at the lava python. From below, Tang Ao only saw the snow-winged civet swipe its claws in midair. Immediately after, two ice blades slashed towards the lava python. Compared to the ice mist spat out by the snow-winged spirit cat, these two blade lights were extremely fast. As soon as they appeared, they instantly left two white marks on the lava python's body. Although the speed was many times faster than the ice mist, its attack power was too weak. However, this spiritual skill did not consume a lot of primordial chi. Tang Ao saw the snow-winged spirit cat spread its wings in the air, and immediately, countless ice blades poured down on the lava python like a torrential storm. These attacks were so dense that even Tang Ao was not confident in dodging them. Chapter 1841. The lava python lived in the magma under the hot spring. Its body was as strong as a spiritual weapon. Ordinary attacks simply couldn't break through its physical defense. Among the many attacks the snow-winged spirit cat had launched, only one claw attack managed to break through the lava python's scales. However, because the silver ring on the lava python's body had blocked the snow-winged spirit cat's attack, the snow-winged spirit cat mistakenly thought that its sharp claws couldn't hurt the lava python. After blocking all of the snow-winged spirit cat's attacks, the lava python opened its huge mouth and immediately spewed out a lava fireball. This blazing fireball had an extremely terrifying aura. When the blazing fireball streaked past, the surrounding space left a trace because of its high temperature. Not only was the lava python's fireball powerful, but it was also extremely fast. Boom! When the fireball flew towards the snow-winged spirit cat, Tang Ao clearly saw a white figure fly to the side, and the fireball of the lava python bombarded the mountain wall without any resistance. Suddenly, countless huge rocks rolled down, leaving a huge pit in the mountain wall. Tang Ao took a closer look and was even more shocked in his heart. This is because there are scarlet red lines in the huge pit. The crimson liquid was the result of the lava python's fireball hitting the mountain wall and melting the rocks. If the snow-winged spirit cat also had such an attack, then the lava python would have fallen long ago. It was a pity that so far, Tang Ao had not seen the snow-winged spirit cat use such a spiritual skill. Although the previous claw attack was amazing, because the snow-winged spirit cat had too little combat experience, its observation was not detailed enough, so it was deceived by the lava python. Otherwise, with the snow-winged spirit cat's extremely flexible body, it would not be a problem to use its claws to attack the lava python. After the snow-winged spirit cat avoided the attack of the lava python, it immediately flapped its wings and immediately attacked the lava python again. However, at this moment, Tang Ao's eyebrows suddenly moved. Shortly after, Tang Ao hastily warned, "Careful," because at this moment, a purple-black snake rushed out of the hot spring. This purple-black snake's aura was very hidden. Even Tang Ao's remembrance didn't find it. However, when it appeared, there was a wave of killing intent. Therefore, Tang Ao hastily used Heavenly Pole Pupil to investigate the hot spring. In the end, Tang Ao saw the purple-black shadow snake in the hot spring. Compared to the non-poisonous lava python, the shadow snake was a type of poison. This nether snake was a size smaller than the lava python, but it was much stronger. Tang Ao saw that the shadow snake had the power of the origin martial realm 7th level. This once again refreshed Tang Ao's understanding of the Blood Wasteland's demon power. Facing such a powerful existence, Tang Ao didn't even dare show his head. Chapter 1842. For this little guy, Tang Ao was quite fond of it. However, Tang Ao's cultivation was too low. In the face of this situation, he was powerless. Not to mention Tang Ao, even if Xue Hen, who was at the 4th level of the origin martial realm, was here, he would be helpless. However, Shui was different from Tang Ao. If Tang Ao wasn't careful, something irreversible would happen. However, Shui was different. Even if Shui encountered an accident, he could use blood shadow evasion to escape at any time. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao really planned to call Shui for help. However, before Tang Ao could call Shui for help, the battle in the valley suddenly broke out. This abyssal snake was obviously sent by the lava python to help. After the abyssal snake came out, it and the lava python surrounded the snow-winged spirit cat from the front and back. Looking at these two big guys, the snow-winged spirit cat was obviously panicking. After waving its wings and releasing peerless ice blades, the snow-winged spirit cat fled in the direction of the entrance where Tang Ao was. Tang Ao knew that this was bad. Of course, this was not because the snow-winged spirit cat would expose Tang Ao's position. Instead, it was because if the snow-winged spirit cat didn't run away, it would have no flaws. Now that the snow-winged spirit cat ran away, it would be full of flaws. As long as a monster had a little fighting experience, they would know that even if they were ready to escape, they couldn't just run away like this. If they ran away like this, there would only be one result, and that was to be attacked from behind. Sure enough, Tang Ao's idea was completely correct. Compared to the snow-winged spirit cat, this big snake had a lot of fighting experience. Although they weren't as flexible as the snow-winged spirit cat, they were obviously good at sneak attacks. Tang Ao only heard a whistling sound. When he looked up, he saw a raging lava fireball bombarding the back of the snow-winged spirit cat. Facing this big fireball, even though it was escaping, the snow-winged spirit cat was still very flexible and avoided the big fireball. However, when Tang Ao saw that the snow-winged civet avoided the big fireball, Tang Ao's heart sank to the bottom. The cunning of the snake-type demon beasts were indeed worthy of their reputation. Although the big fireball that the snow-winged spirit cat had dodged seemed extremely violent, it was actually a feint. The real killer was the venom that the nether shadow snake spat out from its mouth. The venom was as thin as a strand of hair, but it was harder than a steel needle. With a thought, Tang Ao activated the 36 snowflake seal in his eyes. Under the ultimate heavenly pupils, the swift poisonous needle became clear in an instant. Furthermore, the terrifying speed of the needle became abnormally slow under the ultimate heavenly pupils. Immediately after, Tang Ao's primal chi also erupted, and an ice needle appeared in front of Tang Ao. As Tang Ao's primal chi continuously poured in, the ice needle became more and more solid. Once the ice needle had solidified to a certain degree, Tang Ao released his soul remembrance, and the ice needle flew towards the poisonous needle that was shooting towards the snow-winged spirit cat. With Tang Ao's current cultivation, no matter how powerful the ultimate heavenly pupils were, it was impossible to counter the poison needle of the nether shadow snake. Chapter 1843. However, the snow-winged spirit cat still couldn't escape the poison needle's attack range. In the next moment, the terrifying poison needle was about to pass through the snow-winged spirit cat's body. Feeling death approaching, the snow-winged spirit cat's tail stood up in fear, and its eyes showed a trace of despair. Although its intelligence wasn't high, it didn't mean it couldn't feel the threat of death. At this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat clearly felt that as long as the poison needle passed through its body, everything would be over. At this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat's eyes were filled with an endless desire to live. However, facing this instant poison needle, the snow-winged spirit cat had no other choice. However, at this critical moment, an ice needle suddenly flew out from the side. The ice needle was terrifyingly fast. In midair, the ice needle and the nether snake's poison suddenly collided. Although Tang Ao's ice needle was condensed by Tang Ao's heavenly polar pupil, with a huge difference in strength, the instant Tang Ao's ice needle touched it, it instantly shattered. However, at the same time it shattered, the ice needle finally completed its mission. The poison needle that shot towards the snow-winged spirit cat finally deviated from its path after this collision. All of this happened in a flash. After Tang Ao used the ice needle to save the snow-winged spirit cat, he knew that his position had been exposed. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't hesitate to fly out of the valley. Indeed, the moment Tang Ao's figure moved, the place where Tang Ao had been standing before exploded. Even while escaping, Tang Ao's sole remembrance was carefully observing his surroundings. Therefore, Tang Ao naturally knew that the thing that had attacked him was another giant snake. This giant snake was as black as ink, like a shadow. However, its speed was shocking. If Tang Ao hadn't retreated in advance, Tang Ao wouldn't have been able to escape its attack. Looking at this giant snake whose body was as black as ink, the name of a demonic beast appeared in Tang Ao's mind. Eyeless snake. This kind of snake-type demon beast was different from all other snake-type demon beasts. It was like a killer among snake-type demon beasts, possessing a terrifying venom and an abnormally fast body. After failing to kill Tang Ao in one blow, the eyeless snake did not continue to pursue Tang Ao. Instead, it turned into a shadow and rushed toward the snow-winged spiritual cat. Although the snow-winged spirit cat was agile, it lacked combat experience. After being scared by the nether snake's poisonous stinger, the snow-winged spirit cat was shivering at the moment. Seeing the eyeless snake charging at it, the snow-winged spirit cat was stunned for a moment before it reacted. After that, the snow-winged spirit cat immediately dodged sideways. Although its speed was fast, the eyeless snake's wasn't slow either. Therefore, this time, the eyeless snake accurately bit the snow-winged spirit cat's body. Although it bit the snow-winged spirit cat, the eyeless snake didn't feel good either. This was because when the eyeless snake bit the snow-winged spirit cat, a terrifying ice power exploded from the snow-winged spirit cat, as if it wanted to freeze the entire space. Chapter 1844. After being bitten by the eyeless snake, the snow-winged spirit cat was also poisoned. Moreover, this poison was very powerful, instantly sealing the snow-winged spirit cat's energy. Even its blood flow was greatly slowed. After catching the snow-winged spirit cat, Tang Ao didn't dare tarry. After shooting out a blast of mysterious cold air, Tang Ao immediately escaped with the snow-winged spirit cat. No matter how you looked at it, Tang Ao's mysterious cold air was the same as the snow-winged spirit cat's icy mist. Moreover, Tang Ao's mysterious cold air was faster and had a wider range. When a lava python saw the mysterious cold air, it immediately thought of the icy mist that had just frozen it. Therefore, the lava python didn't dare think much and hastily retreated. Even the lava python, with its thick skin, didn't dare resist the cold air, much less the dark nether snake. Therefore, when Tang Ao's mysterious cold air attacked, the dark nether snake immediately dove down and hid in the hot spring below. As for the eyeless snake that had bitten the snow-winged spirit cat, it was still a block of ice. The snow-winged spirit cat's last burst of protective cold air was very powerful. At this moment, the eyeless snake's body and internal energy were all sealed by the snow-winged spirit cat's protective cold air. Although the eyeless snake still had some consciousness, it couldn't move. After Tang Ao left the valley with the snow-winged spirit cat, Tang Ao flew for a while before finding a secluded cave and hiding the snow-winged spirit cat inside. Tang Ao didn't know what kind of monstrous beast had dug this cave, but he was sure that this cave had been abandoned for a long time. Moreover, Tang Ao didn't find any traces of monstrous beast activity in the vicinity of this cave. After casually setting up a defensive barrier at the cave entrance, Tang Ao hastily sent his sole remembrance into the snow-winged spirit cat's body. At this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat's eyes were slightly closed, and its two small claws were slightly trembling. Although there were cat-type monstrous beasts that specialized in dealing with snake-type monstrous beasts, or cat-type monstrous beasts were born to restrain snake-type monstrous beasts, but this snow-winged spirit cat had just been born not long ago, so it did not have enough combat experience, so it suffered a big loss. Tang Ao watched the battle between the snow-winged spirit cat and the lava python. Tang Ao knew that if the snow-winged spirit cat had more combat experience and mastered other innate secret skills of the snow-winged spirit cat race, it would have no problem fighting against three of them. Just the ice mist that the snow-winged spirit cat spat out was not something that the three snakes could deal with. As long as he used the ice mist to seal the giant snake, and used his sharp claws to kill the eyeless snake and the nether shadow snake, the remaining lava python would naturally not pose a threat. However, because the snow-winged spirit cat was too small, such a request was somewhat difficult for it. After Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to observe for a moment, his face sank. At this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat situation was very bad. The eyeless snake's venom was very powerful. Right now, Tang Ao's Jade-Bone Life Soul was also very weak, so Tang Ao was not sure if the Jade-Bone Life Soul could remove the venom from the snow-winged spirit cat's body. Even so, Tang Ao immediately began to save it. After all, if the Jade-Bone Life Soul didn't work, Tang Ao had to quickly think of other methods. Chapter 1845. After encountering it for a moment, Tang Ao felt bitter in his heart. This was because the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul, in its weakened state, seemed unable to do anything to the eyeless snake's poison. However, Tang Ao soon discovered that it wasn't that the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul couldn't do anything to the poison in the eyeless snake's body, but that the protective frost aura in the snow-winged spirit cat's body not only repelled the eyeless snake's poison, but it was also resisting Tang Ao's Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul. This caused the already weak Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul to be completely unable to deal with the eyeless snake's poison. At that moment, Tang Ao immediately communicated with the snow-winged spirit cat. "Little guy, don't be afraid. I'm here to save you. Release the suppression of the frost aura on my life soul, and I should be able to remove the poison in your body." Although the snow-winged spirit cat appeared to be unconscious, it still heard Tang Ao's words. However, its intelligence wasn't high, so it didn't know what Tang Ao was talking about. However, the snow-winged spirit cat could still sense Tang Ao's friendliness and desire to help it, so it let down its guard against Tang Ao. Demon beasts were the most vigilant when they were on the verge of death, but it was also the easiest to overcome their wariness. After the snow-winged spirit cat let down its guard against Tang Ao, the protective frost aura in its body naturally didn't continue suppressing Tang Ao's Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul. Following that, the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul began to help the snow-winged spirit cat remove the poison in its body under Tang Ao's control. After sensing that the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul was effective against the eyeless snake's poison, Tang Ao was delighted. Although the speed at which the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul refined the eyeless snake's venom was extremely slow, Tang Ao could still clearly sense that the eyeless snake's venom was being refined bit by the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul. The refined poison then transformed into powerful Yuan Qi that replenished the Jade-Bone Life Soul, causing the Jade-Bone Life Soul to become stronger bit by bit. Furthermore, Tang Ao could sense that although the snow-winged spirit cat had lowered its guard against him, its protective frost aura was still suppressing the Jade-Bone Life Soul. However, with the passage of time, the snow-winged spirit cat's protective frost aura also sensed the kindness of the Jade-Bone Life Soul. It gradually weakened the suppression on the Jade-Bone Life Soul. In the end, the snow-winged spirit cat's protective frost aura completely released the Jade-Bone Life Soul's obstruction. Without the protection of the snow-winged spirit cat, Tang Ao found it much easier to remove the toxins from the snow-winged spirit cat's body. 8 hours later, Tang Ao's forehead was covered in a thin layer of sweat. The Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul was also slowly absorbed by Tang Ao. After retracting the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul, Tang Ao felt like he was about to collapse from exhaustion as he lay on the ground. As the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul was currently in a weak state, using the Jade-Bone Vitality Life Soul to remove the toxins from the snow-winged spirit cat consumed a lot of remembrance. In an hour, Tang Ao felt that his remembrance was about to be exhausted. However, as the toxins in the snow-winged spirit cat's body had not been completely removed, Tang Ao naturally could not waste all his previous efforts. Therefore, Tang Ao could only grit his teeth and persist. Now that the toxins in the snow-winged spirit cat's body were completely removed, Tang Ao was really exhausted. Not long after, Tang Ao felt his eyelids sink, and then he fell asleep. Even a warrior like Tang Ao could easily fall asleep when his remembrance was overconsumed. Especially at this moment, Tang Ao was in a safe environment, so it was even easier for him to fall asleep. Not long after Tang Ao fell asleep, the snow-winged spirit cat's beautiful big eyes blinked twice. Although it had been unconscious just now, it still noticed that the unconscious human warrior in front of it had saved it. Therefore, the snow-winged spirit cat looked at Tang Ao with gratitude. Immediately, its remembrance moved, and a white jade bracelet on the snow-winged spirit cat's right leg flashed with a glimmer of brilliance. This white jade bracelet was impressively a storage spirit artifact. The snow-winged spirit cat also took out a dark green spirit fruit from the white jade bracelet and stuffed it into Tang Ao's body. In a trance, Tang Ao suddenly felt a cool and refreshing feeling in his mouth, and then this feeling immediately swept through his whole body. Tang Ao's broken spirit sea and soul sea recovered under the nourishment of this special warm current, and a remembrance that Tang Ao had consumed was immediately replenished. Chapter 1846. Tang Ao would check the 100 Herb collection whenever he had free time. Right now, Tang Ao probably knew more spirit herbs than the Shennong Emperor. After all, many of the spirit herbs recorded in the 100 Herb collection were things that the Shennong Emperor hadn't mentioned. Moreover, the Shennong Emperor had told Tang Ao that even he hadn't reached the peak of Pil Dao. Although Tang Ao hadn't seen the black jade immortal fruit before, Tang Ao was sure that he had just eaten it. Although he was in a trance, Tang Ao could still feel that the snow-winged spirit cat had given him a spirit fruit. Moreover, the dark green fruit, in both smell and effect, matched the black jade immortal fruit perfectly. Truly an immortal grade spirit fruit, truly magical. Feeling his body brimming with energy and remembrance, Tang Ao praised in his heart. Moreover, Tang Ao found that his shattered spirit sea and soul sea seemed to have recovered a bit. Among the healing immortal spirit herbs, the black jade immortal fruit was ranked 5th. Tang Ao estimated that if he had a dozen black jade immortal fruits, he might be able to completely recover. Immediately, Tang Ao looked expectantly at the snow-winged spirit cat lying next to him. Tang Ao reached out and stroked its little head, then asked, "Little guy, can you understand what I'm saying?" The snow-winged spirit cat heard Tang Ao's words and immediately tilted its head, looking extremely cute. However, from its confused eyes, Tang Ao knew that although the snow-winged spirit cat had gained sentience, it was still too young. Therefore, even if its inherited memory contained the human race's language, it didn't seem to understand it. Immediately, Tang Ao smiled helplessly. The snow-winged spirit cat couldn't hear him, so he naturally couldn't ask where the black jade immortal fruit was. However, Tang Ao didn't give up. Since the snow-winged spirit cat could get the black jade immortal fruit, it meant that there must be somewhere nearby. As long as Tang Ao followed the snow-winged spirit cat, finding the black jade immortal fruit naturally wouldn't be a problem. Gulyalu, just as Tang Ao was thinking about how to get the snow-winged spirit cat to lead him to the black jade immortal fruit, Tang Ao heard the snow-winged spirit cat's stomach growl. The little fellow was obviously hungry. At this time, the snow-winged spirit cat also stood up and looked at Tang Ao innocently with its big watery eyes. It seemed that it wanted Tang Ao to look for food with it. An adult snow-winged spirit cat could feed on sea dragons and flood dragons. From this, it could be seen how terrifying an adult snow-winged spirit cat was. However, it was clearly impossible for a young snow-winged spirit cat to deal with powerful demon beasts such as sea dragons and flood dragons. Therefore, a young snow-winged spirit cat would feed on some natural spirit items. The inky jade immortal fruit that the snow-winged spirit cat had given to Tang Ao was the food that the snow-winged spirit cat had prepared for today. After giving the ink jade immortal fruit to Tang Ao to heal, the little fellow naturally became hungry. Because of the 9 dragons Emperor's jade body, the snow-winged spirit cat liked to stay by Tang Ao's side. This was because the snow-winged spirit cat found that Tang Ao seemed to have a very comfortable feeling around him. Little fellow, let's go find something to eat. Tang Ao looked at its cute appearance and immediately waved at it. After Tang Ao waved, the snow-winged spirit cat bounced up and jumped onto Tang Ao's shoulder. Obviously, when hungry, this little thing didn't even want to walk. Not only that, looking at its posture, it seemed that it wanted Tang Ao to help it find food. Chapter 1847. When Tang Ao entered this cave before, Tang Ao knew that this cave should have been dug by a martial artist. But because it had been too long, it was completely impossible to see when this cave was dug. When Tang Ao walked to the entrance of the cave, Tang Ao's eyebrows moved. When he came in, because he wanted to avoid the 3 big snakes and was busy detoxifying the snow-winged spirit cat, Tang Ao did not carefully observe this cave. But now that he left this cave, Tang Ao suddenly found that there was a concealment array in the corner of the cave entrance. Even if he did not know how many years had passed, this array still had very weak vitality fluctuations. It was just that this vitality fluctuation was very special. It felt similar to the vitality flowing in the surrounding space, so it was difficult to find out that there was a concealment array here. If Tang Ao was not a 6th grade spiritual array grandmaster, it was almost impossible for Tang Ao to find this concealment array, unless Tang Ao used the sky polar eyes to scan the entire cave. But without special circumstances, Tang Ao naturally would not think of using the sky polar eyes to observe this cave. Tang Ao secretly felt that the reason why this concealment array was arranged here seemed to be to hide something, and wanted to come back later to get it. It was just that Tang Ao did not know what happened at that time. After this thing was hidden here, no one had touched it. Tang Ao did not rashly break this concealment array. The person who could arrange this concealment array was stronger than Tang Ao in the array Dao. This person spent a lot of effort to leave this concealment array at the entrance of the cave. If there was no backup, Tang Ao would not believe anything. Immediately, Tang Ao's mind moved, and the sky polar eyes instantly opened. The sky polar eyes could see through everything in the world. Under the sky polar eyes, this concealment array naturally appeared incomparably clearly. With just a glance, Tang Ao's heart set off a storm. The reason for that was because the concealment formation was actually concealing a spirit formation. However, Tang Ao's sky polarity eyes could only see the boundary within the concealment formation. As for what was inside the boundary, Tang Ao had no idea. Using an almost undetectable concealment array formation to conceal a barrier, Tang Ao had never heard of such a method. Moreover, Tang Ao knew that he was a little too arrogant. He actually dared to compare his array Dao with this person. Just the method of hiding a barrier within a concealment array formation was several streets ahead of Tang Ao. After using the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao understood that this concealment array formation was not dangerous. However, there were only 3 ways to enter this concealment array formation. The first method was to use brute force to break the array, but Tang Ao felt that not even the powerful lava python could break the concealment array with brute force, let alone him. The second method was to know the way to open this concealment array formation. However, Tang Ao felt that other than the array Dao master who arranged this concealment array formation, there was probably no one in this world who knew the correct way to open this concealment array formation. Therefore, the first and second methods were obviously not feasible. If he wanted to open this concealment array formation, he could only use the third method. Chapter 1848. The level of this concealment formation was far beyond Tang Ao's imagination. If Tang Ao hadn't suddenly noticed an unusual fluctuation here, then even Tang Ao might not have found this concealment formation. Because Tang Ao's plan was to leave here directly with the snow-winged spirit cat, and because the snow-winged spirit cat's poison had been detoxified, Tang Ao's state was also good. So if there were no accidents, it would be impossible for Tang Ao to return here. But now, Tang Ao realized that this cave dwelling, which he had no idea when, wasn't that simple. Tang Ao carefully observed this concealment formation with the celestial polarity pupils. Tang Ao found that even with his attainments in Array Dao, it was impossible to break this concealment formation. Because Tang Ao observed for so long, Tang Ao did not find a breakthrough. Under normal circumstances, a concealment formation was composed of 12 groups of array patterns, but this concealment formation had 108 groups of array patterns. The complexity of this concealment formation was simply unimaginable. However, Tang Ao had a hunch that once he broke this concealment formation, his level of Array Dao would go up another level. Meow. When Tang Ao stopped to look at this concealment formation, the snow-winged spirit cat lying on Tang Ao's shoulder whispered softly. Obviously, it was hungry. Tang Ao also knew that with his current attainments in array formations, he wouldn't be able to open this concealment array in a short time. Since that was the case, he decided to go and find some food for the snow-winged spirit cat. Once he was done looking for food for the little gluttonous cat, Tang Ao would go and collect the yuan yang grass. Then he came to this place to refine dawn. While refining dawn, he also studied how to open this concealment formation. The water was gurgling, and there were some fish swimming freely in the stream. At this moment, Tang Ao and the snow-winged spirit cat were walking along the stream. This place was brought by the snow-winged spirit cat to Tang Ao. Looking at the fish in the stream, Tang Ao was secretly puzzled. Did this little greedy cat want to eat fish? Otherwise, why would they bring him here? However, Tang Ao felt that this little guy only ate the sprouts at the top of the earth stargrass. This little guy probably wouldn't even be interested in this kind of fish. Tang Ao waved his hand, and a cyan green lotus sword chi shot out from Tang Ao's fingertip. With a muffled sound, the green lotus sword chi pierced through the water and pierced through a fish. Then Tang Ao waved his hand, and the fish flew out. When Tang Ao handed the fish to the snow-winged spirit cat, the snow-winged spirit cat immediately showed a wronged expression. When Tang Ao saw that guy's cultivation of the 6th level of the origin realm and his cute appearance, he could only hiddenly sigh in his heart. Clearly, he could rely on his strength to eat, but he wanted to act cute here. Seeing the snow-winged spiritual cat's expression, Tang Ao knew that this little thing didn't want to eat fish. This made Tang Ao a bit confused. Just a moment ago, Tang Ao used sky polar eyes to check, and there were no high-level spirit plants nearby. All of them were ordinary goods. However, the fish in the stream was a bit special. These fish had a faint fluctuation of origin chi. Not to mention the taste, it was certainly good for a cultivator's cultivation. Chapter 1849. Under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, he found that these small fish had a special energy fluctuation. However, some of the small fish's energy fluctuations were very strong, while others were very weak. However, to the naked eye, these small fish were still the same. The small fish that Tang Ao had just caught belonged to the category with very weak energy fluctuations. Thinking of this, Tang Ao somewhat understood that this small gluttonous cat really did want to eat fish. However, it clearly wanted to eat the small fish that had extremely strong energy fluctuations. Logically, with the snow-winged spirit cat's 6th level cultivation, catching small fish naturally wasn't a problem. However, Tang Ao quickly discovered that although the snow-winged spirit cat's soul remembrance wasn't weak, it didn't really know how to use soul remembrance. Just now, when Tang Ao had used soul remembrance to scout the fish in the stream, the snow-winged spirit cat had learned Tang Ao's method of using soul remembrance to scout the fish in the stream. However, although Tang Ao's current cultivation wasn't as high as this small gluttonous cat, Tang Ao's soul remembrance strength and usage of soul remembrance wasn't something this small gluttonous cat could compare to. Tang Ao quickly understood that this small fellow had probably been separated from its mother not long after it was born, so it hadn't learned how to use the snow-winged spirit cat species' innate soul techniques. It didn't even know how to use soul remembrance. The snow-winged spirit cat, learning Tang Ao's use of soul remembrance, was naturally asking for trouble. When normal martial artists use soul remembrance, they would slowly release their soul remembrance. Through releasing it over and over again, they would gradually get used to using soul remembrance to scout the surrounding world. This was because the world under soul remembrance was different from the world observed by the naked eye. Under soul remembrance, everything in the surroundings would be even clearer. Even the ants in the grass could be clearly seen. However, using the naked eye, wanting to see the ants hidden in the grass was clearly impossible. Learning from Tang Ao, he unrestrainedly released his soul remembrance in all directions. The snow-winged spirit cat bared its teeth and let out a cry before falling off of Tang Ao's shoulder. Although its soul remembrance wasn't weak, it wasn't familiar with using soul remembrance. Directly releasing soul remembrance like Tang Ao, its sea of consciousness naturally felt a sharp stab of pain. Tang Ao somewhat helplessly laughed and extended his hand to hug the small fellow. After hugging it, Tang Ao brought the snow-winged spirit cat to the stream and said to it, "Small fellow, look carefully. This time, I'll teach you how to use soul remembrance." After Tang Ao spoke, he also slowly released his soul remembrance. A special soul remembrance came out of Tang Ao's body and slowly spread around Tang Ao. When the soul remembrance spread to a 10-meter radius around Tang Ao stopped the soul remembrance and slowly withdrew it. The small fellow seemed to understand Tang Ao's thoughts and promptly jumped onto the ground. Subsequently, Tang Ao saw a special soul remembrance wave come out of the snow-winged spirit cat's body. However, it was completely different from what Tang Ao had just demonstrated. After this small fellow's soul remembrance was released, it instantly soared to a range of 300 meters. Then, because its sea of consciousness couldn't bear it, it let out another miserable cry and jumped back into Tang Ao's embrace. Chapter 1850. However, this time, Tang Ao wasn't soft-hearted. This snow-winged spirit cat's intelligence wasn't low. The reason it was so stupid was because it didn't learn properly. Learning how to use soul remembrance flexibly was very helpful to the snow-winged spirit cat. Previously, the snow-winged spirit cat had been attacked in the hot spring valley because it didn't know how to use soul remembrance, so it didn't know that the nether snakes had attacked it. If it wasn't for Tang Ao coincidentally being nearby, this little fellow would have become a feast for the 3 large snakes. Under the snow-winged spirit cat's gaze, Tang Ao once again gathered his soul remembrance and slowly spread it out. After reaching a 10-meter range, Tang Ao stopped his soul remembrance and slowly retracted it back into his body. Tang Ao was very satisfied when he saw the little guy's serious look. Did you see it clearly? Try it. After Tang Ao finished speaking, he put the snow-winged spirit cat back on the ground. With the previous 2 painful lessons, the snow-winged spirit cat was a bit afraid of using soul remembrance. Therefore, after Tang Ao put it on the grass, it pitifully looked at Tang Ao and meowed. This gave Tang Ao a headache. Immediately, Tang Ao took out a spirit beast pill from his storage ring and gave it to it. After smelling the unique fragrance of the spirit beast pill, the snow-winged spirit cat's small eyes lit up and looked expectantly at Tang Ao. It was reasonable to say that this level of spirit beast pill wasn't very attractive to a top-tier spirit beast like the snow-winged spirit cat. However, this little fellow had never eaten a higher-level spirit beast pill before. Therefore, the spirit beast pill in Tang Ao's hand was naturally delicious to the snow-winged spirit cat. Tang Ao saw that it was about to drool and patted its small head. Immediately, he said, "Follow my demonstration. If you perform well, I'll let you eat it." He didn't know if it was because Tang Ao talked too much with it, but this time, the little fellow seemed to understand what Tang Ao was saying. Immediately, Tang Ao saw the little fellow let out a light breath and release a soul remembrance wave. Under the temptation of the spirit beast pill, the little fellow instantly became smart. Tang Ao saw the snow-winged spirit cat slowly release its soul remembrance like him. Not long after, it also released it to a range of 10 meters. However, at this time, the little fellow seemed to have forgotten to retract its soul remembrance. Instead, it directly dispersed its remembrance. After releasing its soul remembrance, the snow-winged spirit cat proudly looked at Tang Ao. Tang Ao couldn't help but want to say that it didn't go against him at all, but in the snow-winged spirit cat's mind, it had done a very good job, so Tang Ao should quickly give it the spirit beast pill. Seeing that Tang Ao didn't give it the snow-winged spirit pill, snow-winged spirit beast Ao, it winged snow-winged spirit Ao, raise. Seeing this, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The snow-winged spirit cat was acting like a child asking for candy. However, to spirit beast pills were like candy to human children. However, the effects of spirit beast pills on spirit beasts were incomparable to candy to children. Tang Ao still had a few spirit beast pills on him, so Tang Ao wasn't stingy. He took out a spirit beast pill from his storage ring and placed it on the snow-winged spirit cat's paw. Chapter 1851. After eating the spirit beast pill, the snow-winged spirit cat very shamelessly extended its little paw again, clearly wanting to ask Tang Ao for more spirit beast pills. However, this time, Tang Ao didn't spoil it. The spirit beast pill was given to it because it was obedient, otherwise it wouldn't have met Tang Ao's requirements. Therefore, Tang Ao only patted its little head this time and said to the snow-winged spirit cat, "Do it again. If you do well this time, I'll reward you with another spirit beast pill." Perhaps it was because the spirit beast pill was too attractive to the little guy, but the little guy actually seemed to understand Tang Ao's words and nodded seriously. He then walked to the side and let out a sigh of relief. Tang Ao looked at the little fellow's imposing manner and couldn't help but find it funny. Whether it was a beast or a martial artist, using soul remembrance was a very common thing. However, when this little fellow released its soul remembrance, it was as if it was about to use some heaven-defying martial technique. It unexpectedly had to prepare in an imposing manner. However, Tang Ao didn't know if it was because of this little fellow's serious preparation, but this time, the snow-winged spirit cat did very well. Tang Ao saw that after it calmed down, a special soul remembrance very evenly spread out in all directions. This soul remembrance was as calm as a tide, but within the calmness was a trace of richness. Being able to release this kind of soul remembrance meant that the snow-winged spirit cat's control over soul remembrance was extremely strong. However, because it didn't know how to use soul remembrance, it had suffered so much before. With the spirit beast pill as a reward, the snow-winged spirit cat's progress was very fast. This time, the snow-winged spirit cat completely followed Tang Ao's instructions and released its soul remembrance to a 10-meter radius. After staying for a while, it slowly retracted its soul remembrance back into its body. After doing all this, the snow-winged spirit cat looked very proudly at Tang Ao, as if it had accomplished something incredible. Seeing its proud appearance, Tang Ao cooperated and rubbed its little head. Then, he poured out a spirit beast pill from the jade bottle and gave it to it. With another spirit beast pill as a reward, the little guy was very happy. She jumped into Tang Ao's arms and intimately rubbed her head against Tang Ao. Tang Ao decided to teach the snow-winged spirit cat how to use soul remembrance as soon as possible. Then, he would bring it to fight a few beasts to stimulate its potential. Once it was proficient in using soul remembrance and innate soul techniques, Tang Ao could bring it to participate in the Evergreen Marketplace's auction. Previously, Tang Ao planned to attend and leave in a low-key manner. But now, Tang Ao thought that things might not be so simple. Because other than the map of the Earth Firestone ruins, if there were any good treasures in the auction, such as the materials to advance the Netherworld Flame, or the 2B skin maps that Tang Ao was missing. When encountering these things, Tang Ao would definitely make a move. Once someone else was interested in these things, there would definitely be a fight over them. With Tang Ao and Bloodscar's current strength, it wasn't enough to contend against Lu Chuanjia and the others. However, with the snow-winged spirit cat's help, it would be a different story. After all, Lu Chuanjia was only at the 5th level of the Origin Martial Realm, while the snow-winged spirit cat was at the 6th level. Chapter 1852. After the snow-winged spirit cat ate the spirit beast pill, it looked pitifully at Tang Ao, as if it wanted to eat more of such a delicious spirit beast pill. However, Sugar carried the snow-winged spirit cat to a smooth stone, while Tang Ao casually sat on the grass. Tang Ao prepared to let the snow-winged spirit cat rest for a while, and then began to practice using soul remembrance. Little fellow, where did you come from? The snow-winged spirit cat race was a very powerful and ancient race of the demon race. Its history and strength could be compared to the strongest dragon race. If the snow-winged spirit cat appeared in other places, Tang Ao wouldn't find it strange. However, the snow-winged spirit cat appearing here made Tang Ao very confused. It seemed to have awakened a part of the human language in its inherited memory. At this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat could somewhat understand Tang Ao's words. However, after Tang Ao asked, the snow-winged spirit cat's large eyes were full of doubt. It seemed that even it didn't know where it came from. After tilting its head to think for a while, the snow-winged spirit cat pointed to the sky. Seeing it like this, Tang Ao couldn't help but laugh. Did this little thing think that it fell from the sky? Seeing that it couldn't explain clearly, Tang Ao naturally didn't continue to ask. This was because Tang Ao felt that with the little fellow's current intelligence, it didn't seem to be able to answer such a difficult question. Little fellow, are you willing to sign a spirit beast contract with me? When he said this, Tang Ao felt like he was tricking a child, because at this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat, besides not transforming, was like an innocent child. This time, the snow-winged spirit cat completely understood Tang Ao's words. After Tang Ao finished speaking, the little fellow actually nodded its head forcefully. It then lifted its small claws and forced out a drop of blood essence to float in front of Tang Ao. This drop of blood essence also had a trace of soul remembrance. This was how human martial artists and spirit beasts signed spirit beast contracts. So proactive. This time, it was Tang Ao's turn to be unable to react. Tang Ao really couldn't understand why this little guy would be so proactive. After Tang Ao proposed to form a spiritual beast contract, it immediately forced out a drop of blood essence. Tang Ao really liked this snow-winged spirit cat. Promptly, Tang Ao didn't hesitate. With a thought, a special rune appeared in front of Tang Ao and the snow-winged spirit cat. Then, the blood essence of the snow-winged spirit cat and Tang Ao's blood essence fused into this mysterious and ancient rune. After the essence blood fused with the ancient runes, the runes turned into 2 streaks of red light and entered the bodies of Tang Ao and the snow-winged spirit cat. Since the snow-winged spirit cat had completely agreed, the process of forming a spirit beast contract was much easier than Tang Ao had imagined. After establishing the spiritual beast contract, Tang Ao and this little fellow had a special connection. Now, Tang Ao didn't need to speak. With just a thought, he could transmit his thoughts to the snow-winged spirit cat. At the same time, Tang Ao could feel the snow-winged spirit cat meowing. Although Tang Ao didn't know what it wanted to express, Tang Ao could still feel its happy emotions. Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The snow-winged spirit cat wasn't the first spirit beast to form a spiritual beast contract with Tang Ao. However, the previous Tang Hua Air and Tang Yu weren't as happy as the snow-winged spirit cat. Tang Ao remembered that when he and Tang Hua Air had formed a spiritual beast contract, Tang Hua Air had been extremely unwilling. Moreover, after forming the spiritual beast contract, Tang Hua Air was completely disobedient. She often went against Tang Ao and said that when she grew up, she would find a way to remove the spiritual beast contract with Tang Ao. However, her big words hadn't come true yet. Although Tang Ao didn't know where Tang Hua Air was, there were 3 blood-colored sigils in Tang Ao's soul sea. These 3 blood-colored sigils were the spiritual beast contracts with Tang Hua Air, Tang Yu, and the snow-winged spirit cat. This kind of spiritual beast contract was very close. Once one party died, the other party would be heavily injured or even die. Therefore, under normal circumstances, unless they encountered a very powerful and potential demonic beast, human martial artists wouldn't consider forming a spiritual beast contract with a spiritual beast. Otherwise, most of the time, if human martial artists wanted to use a demonic beast's power, they would simply and crudely use a soul remembrance imprint to control it. The 2 raging flame lions in the faraway Evergreen Market were like this. Originally, Tang Ao wanted to kill them both. Later, Tang Ao changed his mind and only used a soul remembrance imprint to bind them. Chapter 1853. When Tang Ao had first arrived in the Blood Wasteland, the first thing he had encountered was this terrifying number of skeletons. If these skeletons weren't completely destroyed, they would quickly recover. Therefore, when dealing with these skeletons, Thunder-type martial artists were extremely advantageous. Thunder-type martial techniques were extremely hard and powerful, and a single attack could turn skeletons into powder. Moreover, after completely destroying the skeletons, one could obtain bone powder. However, Tang Ao didn't cultivate any departed soul-type techniques, so this bone powder wasn't very useful to Tang Ao. Even when setting up some special arrays or refining some special spirit energy, only a small amount of bone powder would be used. The appearance of these skeletons caused Tang Ao to be slightly surprised. When Tang Ao had used heavenly polar pupils to observe the surroundings, Tang Ao hadn't discovered the existence of these skeletons nearby. However, Tang Ao wasn't afraid at all. When Tang Ao had just arrived in the Blood Wasteland, these skeletons couldn't do anything to Tang Ao. Now that Tang Ao's cultivation had risen to this level, these skeletons weren't even worth looking at in front of Tang Ao. Just like in the past, these skeletons always came in groups. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan his surroundings and discovered that this group of skeletons had probably come from somewhere else. Of the 4 monsters unique to the Blood Wasteland, the skeletons were the least valuable. Not only were they hard to deal with, but they would also only obtain some bone powder after being killed. Although these skeletons were similar to the skeletons of human martial artists, Tang Ao knew that these weren't formed by human martial artists after they died. Instead, these skeletons were probably born with this appearance. On the backs of these skeletons, there was an extremely obvious symbol. No matter how weak the skeletons were, they all had a pair of bone wings. Moreover, the skeletons of human martial artists definitely didn't have these bone wings. Not only did the humanoid skeletons have a pair of bone wings, even the beast-shaped skeletons had a pair of bone wings. This gave Tang Ao an idea. These skeletons were most likely creatures from other planes, or perhaps they were created by some taboo method using bone powder. Rumble. While Tang Ao was pondering, the snow-winged spirit cat had already made its move. Because the skeletons were constantly approaching Tang Ao and the snow-winged spirit cat, the snow-winged spirit cat had taken the skeleton's actions as a provocation. Therefore, the snow-winged civet suddenly spat out a mouthful of cold air, which quickly condensed into a huge crystal-clear ball of ice in the air. Then, like a meteorite falling from the sky, the ice ball suddenly crashed into the skeleton monster. Suddenly, a terrifying cold air swept out in all directions, and countless tiny ice crystals flew out like sharp blades. In just one move, these skeletons were frozen by the snow-winged spirit cat's cold air. Moreover, the snow-winged spirit cat's cold air was clearly not normal. When Tang Ao saw these skeletons frozen by the cold air, some of the weaker ones had actually been frozen to death. Moreover, the snow-winged spirit cat's attack still hadn't ended. As the cold air continued to gather, a layer of frost slowly formed in the space, and the small stream to the side instantly froze. This time, there were about 1,000 skeletons that appeared, but at this moment, these skeletons had all been frozen by the snow-winged spirit cat's cold air. Chapter 1854. Originally, Tang Ao was going to praise the little guy, but what made Tang Ao speechless was that after the little guy froze the skeletons, he didn't know what to do. Therefore, its attack only killed all the skeletons below the origin realm. The skeletons in the origin realm were frozen and couldn't move, but after the ice melted, these skeletons still wouldn't suffer too much damage. It seemed that the snow-winged spirit cat knew that it didn't do well enough, so it looked at Tang Ao with eyes full of grievances. After signing a spirit beast contract with Tang Ao, some inherited secret skills appeared in the mind of the snow-winged spirit cat. However, because it was too small, and compared to the snow-winged spirit cat clan, its cultivation was too low at the moment, so the snow-winged spirit cat didn't fully master these innate secret skills. Although Tang Ao had seen the snow-winged spirit cat in the black-yellow continent in his previous life, Tang Ao didn't know much about the snow-winged spirit cat. So Tang Ao didn't know the snow-winged spirit cat's fighting style and the powerful secret skills of the snow-winged spirit cat clan. However, Tang Ao knew that after this kind of hard to freeze the skeletons, there was no need to think about anything else and immediately launch a storm-like attack. With a thought, Tang Ao passed the signal to attack the skeletons to the snow-winged spirit cat. Although the snow-winged spirit cat didn't know why Tang Ao wanted it to attack at this time, but after thinking of the delicious spirit beast pills Tang Ao had, the snow-winged spirit cat's aura suddenly changed, and then it flapped its wings and flew towards the skeletons. Then the snow-winged spirit cat waved its claws dozens of times in the air, and a sharp ice blade cut through the space, shooting towards the skeletons below. These skeletons were completely eroded by the cold air, and at this moment they were swept by the snow-winged spirit cat's ice blade and instantly shattered inch by inch. After a round of shooting by the snow-winged spirit cat, the skeletons just now had all turned into ice slags. In such a state, it was impossible for the skeletons to recover. Of course, there was also a drawback. Under the corrosion of the cold air, the bone powder of these skeletons could not be used after they were killed. However, the bone dust had no effect on Tang Ao, so it was not a problem for him to deal with the skeletons. Otherwise, if Tang Ao had set up the lightning guiding array to deal with these skeletons, the effect would have been the same. After the snow-winged civet dealt with the skeletons, a blood-red brilliance condensed beside Tang Ao. Then, Bloodscar's figure appeared. The reason why the bloodstains appeared was because they sensed a large amount of yuan qi fluctuations around Tang Ao. They were worried that Tang Ao would not be able to handle it, so they came over to take a look. Although Bloodscar was always thinking about how to deal with Tang Ao, he could only hope that nothing bad would happen before Bloodscar removed the soul imprint on Tang Ao. Because of the soul imprint, if he died, Tang Ao would only suffer some minor injuries. However, if Tang Ao died, then Bloodscar was also very likely to die. Therefore, Bloodscar rushed over as soon as possible. However, what Bloodscar did not expect was that Tang Ao did not seem to need his help. As soon as Bloodscar appeared, he saw the ice slags around him and the snow-winged spirit cat with a strong aura. However, because the snow-winged spirit cat and Tang Ao had signed a spirit beast contract, it had Tang Ao's aura. Therefore, Bloodscar knew that the snow-winged spirit cat was Tang Ao's spirit pet. Chapter 1855. I picked it up on the way. Tang Ao shrugged casually, then said, "You are indeed a monster in this place. It has only been a couple of days, and you have already reached the 5th level of the Yuan martial realm." Right then, Bloodscar's chi was still fluctuating. Obviously, he had just made a breakthrough. Thinking about how Bloodscar was only at the 6th level of the body refining realm a couple of days ago, and now he was at the 5th level of the Yuan martial realm, Tang Ao felt a bit embarrassed. Normally, Tang Ao's 9 Dragon Emperor J body was already one of the best body types for training in the world. However, even so, in a place like the Flying Star Continent, Tang Ao found that his 9 Dragon Emperor J body seemed to be greatly suppressed. Although using Yuan crystals to train had increased his training speed a lot, using Yuan crystals to train also had a huge drawback. However, using Origin crystals to cultivate also had a huge drawback. The biggest problem was that Origin crystals were not easy to obtain. Just like right now, Tang Ao did not have a single Yuan crystal on him. Right now, Bloodscar's cultivation had already reached the 5th level of the Yuan martial realm, and with the help of the snow-winged spirit cat, Tang Ao felt that he could go save Chu Shuahan after the celebration of the 9-colored deer merchant guild. Once he saved Chu Shuahan, he would think of a way to get all the spirit plants for the 3-treasure blood lotus pellet. As long as he could successfully make the pellet, he would be able to recover his astral-reaching realm cultivation in this place. If Tang Ao and the rest wanted to leave this place, this would be the safest way for now. As for using the space-breaking spell, if he really had to use it, Tang Ao would not be stingy. Have you found any other spirit herbs for refining the 3 treasures blood lotus elixir? After thinking for a while, Tang Ao looked at Bloodscar. Before, he and Bloodscar had split up, and Bloodscar was indeed looking for spirit plants for the pellet. "Yeah, I have found something," Shuehin said as he took out 6 spiritual grasses. These 6 spiritual grasses were found by Shuehin according to the map given by Tang Ao. However, Shuehin did not know much about spiritual grasses. Therefore, he was not sure if he had found the right spiritual grasses. Tang Ao was overjoyed when he saw the 6 spiritual herbs that Shuehin took out. Apart from the 3 treasures blood lotus elixir's main ingredient, you also need 12 kinds of spiritual herbs. You're lucky to have found 5 of them. After that, Tang Ao picked up one of the spiritual herbs and said, "This spiritual herb looks no different from the azure fallen leaf, but in fact, it is not the azure fallen leaf. It is a spiritual herb called the wind grass." Tang Ao hadn't expected that Bloodscar's harvest would be so great. Now that Shuehin had found 5 of them, it meant that as long as Tang Ao found the other 7, he would be able to refine the 3 treasures blood lotus pill. Tang Ao felt that at the 9-colored deer merchant guild's 100-year celebration, there would at least be a few spirit herbs that he needed. If not, he could only go to the Dan Alliance and the various Dan pavilions to check. However, Tang Ao still felt that if there were no spirit herbs that he needed at the 9-colored deer auction, then he might not be able to buy them at the Dan Alliance and the other Dan pavilions. As time went on, Tang Ao's desire to leave the Flying Star Continent became more and more urgent. Chapter 1856. Right now, help me find some spirit plants for making the extreme rank-raising Yuan pellet. 5 days later, we will go to the 9-colored deer chamber of commerce's 100-year celebration and try to find the remaining 7 spirit plants. After that, we can find some soul crystals, and then we can start making the 3-treasure blood lotus pellet. Tang Ao was ready to leave the Flying Star Continent. Although there were a lot of treasures there, Tang Ao realized that the Flying Star Continent was really not suitable for training. With Bloodscar's help, it would be a lot easier to find the spirit plants. Not long after, Bloodscar handed over a storage ring stuffed with spirit plants to Tang Ao. Although Bloodscar also had his own way to recover to the peak of astral reaching realm level 9, he had to admit that his method was way too lacking compared to the 3-treasure blood lotus pellet. There were 3 pellets in total. After absorbing and refining the 3 pellets, Bloodscar will be able to recover to the peak of astral reaching realm level 9. Although Bloodscar was still under Tang Ao's control, being able to recover his cultivation so easily was still a huge temptation for Bloodscar. In this uninhabited area, the spirit plant resources were really rich. Low and mid-rank spirit plants could be seen everywhere, and high-rank spirit plants could be found after a careful search. As for the extreme-rank spirit plants, as long as one was not too unlucky, 1 or 2 could be found. Soon, after finding all the spirit plants that he needed, Tang Ao brought Bloodscar to the cave that he had found before. There was a hidden enchantment in this cave. Before, Tang Ao had not figured it out, but now, Tang Ao was ready to continue studying it. Of course, while studying this hidden enchantment, Tang Ao would definitely want to make the extreme rank-raising Yuan pellet. However, before entering the cave, Bloodscar was shocked. Then, his blood chi wrapped around Tang Ao, and he was about to perform his blood shadow escape art. However, Bloodscar's blood shadow escape art, which had never failed him before, made a mistake this time. Around Tang Ao and Bloodscar, 8 layers of bloody light appeared, completely sealing Bloodscar and Tang Ao in this space. Then, a silhouette slowly appeared. It was Shuejiao, who had been chasing after Bloodscar. At that instant, Shui Vulture's body emanated an abnormally terrifying aura. Tang Ao really could not understand what happened to Shui Vulture's body. At that instant, Shui Vulture's cultivation reached the 8th level of the Origin Realm. The cultivation of the 8th level of the Origin Realm was nothing in the profound Yellow Continent or even the Winter Plains. However, in the Flying Star Continent, the cultivation of the 8th level of the Origin Realm was absolutely in existence that could destroy the world. You 2 little mice. This emperor has gone through a lot of trouble to catch you. After Bloody Vulture revealed himself, he looked at Tang Ao and Bloodscar with an unfriendly gaze. Tang Ao and Shui Hen had ugly expressions on their faces as they sensed the terrifying Yuan Qi fluctuations coming from Shui Vulture. Although Tang Ao and Bloodscar used to be peak level 9 astral reaching realm warriors and had mastered a lot of tricks, they were still not as powerful as before. However, Shuejiao, who was standing before them, was once a top-notch expert at the Chaotic Heaven stage. His methods were even more powerful than Tang Ao's. Otherwise, if he were just a normal 8th level Origin Realm warrior, Tang Ao and Bloodscar would not be this worried. I will hold him back. As long as you can break this blood mist enchantment, I will be able to perform my blood shadow escape art and escape. While Tang Ao was vigilantly looking at Shuejiao, Bloodscar suddenly used his soul remembrance to talk to Tang Ao. Chapter 1857. Hearing Shui Hen's soul message, Tang Ao revealed a bitter expression. This guy's at the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm. He's not someone you can fight against. Plus, I don't have any methods to break this blood mist barrier in a short amount of time. Right now, we can only combine our strength to fight this guy. If Tang Ao was at the 5th level of the Origin Martial Realm, then Tang Ao would definitely agree with Shui Hen's method. Sadly, Tang Ao was only at the 1st level of the Origin Martial Realm. No matter how strong Tang Ao was, Tang Ao didn't believe Shui Hen's blood mist barrier could be broken that easily. Plus, with him, Shui Hen, and the snow-winged spirit cat working together, it wasn't certain who would win. This guy is very strong. Be careful. Shui Hen was decisive. After warning them, he charged at Shui Hen first. Facing Shui Hen's attack, Shui Hen revealed a mocking expression. Humph. An ant trying to shake a tree. After speaking, Shui Hen opened his hand and a scarlet blood claw clawed at Shui Hen. Under Shui Hen's claw, Shui Hen's body instantly became a bloody mist. Shui Hen's claw naturally missed. Beautiful, Tang Ao praised in his heart. At the same time, the Green Lotus Sword Soul appeared behind Tang Ao. 7 kill Holy Way, Wind and Cloud, Annihilation. 7 cyan flowing lights suddenly trembled and transformed into 7 rainbow lights that shot towards Xue Hen. Suddenly, the temperature of the entire area dropped by a few degrees. The entire blood mist barrier emanated a desolate aura. The 7-kill Holy Way was an archaic martial technique that had been passed down in the 7-kill sect for a long time. In the entire 7-kill sect, the number of disciples that could successfully cultivate the 7-kill Holy Way could be counted on one hand. In this generation of 7-kill sect disciples, only 2 people with great talent had successfully cultivated the first sword of the 7-kill Holy Way, Wind and Cloud Annihilation. Blood Vulture's brows twitched when he sensed Tang Ao's terrifying sword aura. As a former expert at the Celestial Turbid Realm, Xuejio could tell how powerful Tang Ao's strike was with a glance. Although Tang Ao was only an ant at the first level of the Origin Realm, if he was caught off guard, even an expert at the 5th level of the Origin Realm would be killed by Tang Ao's sneak attack. But sadly, Xuejio was not a martial artist at the 5th level of the Origin Realm. Although Tang Ao's timing was extremely good and his strike was full of might, Xuejio was not a martial artist at the 5th level of the Origin Realm. However, it was still too weak for Bloody Vulture. Puchi, Tang Ao's sword chi pierced through Xuejio's body, and a mist of blood suddenly exploded from his body. This sword chi pierced through his heart from the front and came out from the back. If it was a normal warrior at the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm, or even a Sea of Souls realm, they would die for sure. Seeing the sword strike Xuejio, neither Tang Ao nor Xue Hen revealed any happy expressions, because they both knew that Xuejio had done that on purpose. With Blood Vulture's strength, he could have easily used his Blood Mist avatar to evade the attack. However, not only did Blood Vulture fail to evade the attack, he even took the attack head-on. This made Bloodscar and Tang Ao realize how big the gap between them and Blood Vulture was. At that moment, Xuejio looked at Tang Ao and Xue Hen with ridicule in his eyes. He said indifferently, "This kind of martial skill is definitely not found in this place. It seems like you 2 mice also have some secrets." After saying that, Xuejio's body flashed and suddenly disappeared. So fast. Dodge. Chapter 1858. At the same time, Tang Ao also saw Xue Hen's body fly out of a blood mist. Xue Hen was the first to injure Xue Hen while he was still in his blood mist form. At that moment, Tang Ao realized the true gap between them. Unlike all the opponents he'd met before, Xue Hen was a reincarnated Celestial Turbid Realm expert. Whether it was battle experience or secret techniques, he was far from what Tang Ao and Xue Hen could contend with. Tang Ao fell to the ground with a pale face, while Xue Hen was only barely able to stabilize himself after crashing into the blood mist barrier. The difference in strength was too great. Although Tang Ao and Xue Hen were almost invincible within the same realm, unfortunately, Xue Hen was the same. Although Xue Hen was only at the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm, Tang Ao felt that even a Sea of Souls realm warrior would not be able to do anything to him, let alone the 2 of them. It's time to end this. After injuring Tang Ao and Xue Hen formed 2 seals with his hands. Tang Ao and Xue Hen were not unfamiliar with these seals. They were soul imprints. Clearly, Xue Hen did not intend to kill the 2 of them. Instead, he wanted to use the soul imprint to control them. After seeing the seal, Tang Ao was immediately overjoyed. If Xue Hen directly attacked at this moment, the 2 of them would not be able to escape today. However, if Xue Hen wanted to use the soul imprint to control the 2 of them, he had clearly miscalculated. After exchanging a glance with Xue Hen, Tang Ao ignored the pain on his body and rushed toward Xue Hen. Xue Hen obviously understood Tang Ao's intentions. Tang Ao wanted to create an opportunity for him to sneak attack Xue Hen. Although Xue Hen did not think that Tang Ao would have a chance to do anything to Xue Hen, he still chose to believe in Tang Ao without any reason. The 2 of them had been enemies in their previous lives and had fought countless times. There was a saying that the enemy knew you better than the friend. This saying was very appropriate here. Although Xue Hen did not know what Tang Ao was going to do, he knew that he only needed to believe in Tang Ao and find an opportunity to attack. Sure enough, when Xue Vulture saw Tang Ao rushing towards him, he sneered, "Feudal struggle." After saying that, Xue Vulture did not hesitate and sent a blood-colored rune towards Tang Ao's forehead. Bloody Vulture didn't have any thoughts of killing Tang Ao and Yi Shiwen for now. In Bloody Vulture's opinion, Tang Ao and Yi Shiwen had quite a big secret. This was where divine King Yunxing died, so Bloody Vulture suspected that Tang Ao and Yi Shiwen might have obtained something from divine King Yunxing. As time, Xue Hen is Xue Hen as he could Hen, and Hen as he could you, as he, Tang, Hen, and X, as Yang, and as Hen, Ao, Hen, Tang Ao, and Hen, and had soul. If Tang Ao was also a normal martial artist at the first level of the origin realm, naturally, Tang Ao would not have any strength to resist against the Blood Vulture. However, Tang Ao, who had the 9 Dragon Emperor Jade body, was definitely not a normal first-level origin martial realm martial artist. Currently, although Tang Ao's cultivation was only at the first-level origin martial realm, as Tang Ao's Soul C recovered, Tang Ao's remembrance had already reached the level of a Soul C realm martial artist. In fact, with the support of the Soul C, Tang Ao's remembrance was even stronger. To place a soul imprint, the most basic thing was that one's remembrance had to be able to suppress the opponent. Chapter 1859. Most importantly, most martial artists only had the means to plant a soul remembrance imprint. They didn't have the ability to remove the soul remembrance imprint. So, although most people knew the power of the soul remembrance imprint, they didn't dare to rashly use it. This was because the soul remembrance imprint established a special relationship between the two parties. Once one party died, the other party would also be injured. Once a spirit master died, the martial artist with the soul remembrance imprint would not be able to escape death. Because of this, unless it was absolutely necessary, most martial artists wouldn't use the soul remembrance imprint. However, to martial artists like Tang Ao and Blood Vulture, who could remove the soul remembrance at any time, they didn't have to worry about this. Blood Vulture had planted the soul remembrance on Tang Ao and Blood Vulture's bodies. As long as Blood Vulture received satisfactory information, he could remove the soul remembrance at any time and kill the two of them. The instant the blood mark entered their foreheads, Tang Ao and Blood Vulture's bodies buzzed. Although Tang Ao's soul remembrance was powerful, in order to make Blood Vulture take the bait, he had suppressed his own remembrance. Now that Blood Vulture had fallen into the trap, Tang Ao released all of his remembrance and attacked the remembrance that Blood Vulture had poured into his body. At this moment, Blood Vulture's heart was in turmoil. Blood Vulture never would have imagined that Tang Ao, a mere origin martial realm first-level ant, could have such a powerful remembrance. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Blood Vulture wouldn't have believed such a thing existed in this world. But now, not only did Blood Vulture believe it, he even put himself in danger. Currently, Blood Vulture's remembrance was completely restrained by Tang Ao's body. Outside, Blood Scar instantly seized the opportunity to cast the Blood Sacrifice formation. To a Blood-type martial artist, the Blood Sacrifice formation was an extremely terrifying formation. At this moment, Blood Scar's fingertip pointed at his forehead, and 9 drops of life essence blood were forced out. Then, Blood Scar's hands quickly formed a seal and slapped the ground. Immediately after, a formation with densely packed blood-red runes appeared between the Blood Scar and the Blood Vulture. After this formation appeared, a special blood-red line appeared between the two. The Blood Sacrifice formation was an extremely special formation. This formation's special point was that it would kill 1,000 enemies while sacrificing 1,000 allies. Because in the Blood Sacrifice formation, the damage suffered by both sides was completely equal. In other words, if Xue Hen died now, Xue Jie would die as well. If he hadn't been forced to this extent, Xue Hen wouldn't have used the blood sacrifice array to fight Xue Jie with his life. But now that Tang Ao had created the conditions, how could he, Xue Hen, be afraid of death? After the blood sacrifice array was formed, Xue Vulture's body suddenly trembled. Little bastard, stop right now. I'll let you two go, and I won't make things difficult for you two anymore. Of course, Blood Vulture knew what the blood sacrifice array meant to him. If Blood Scar couldn't figure it out, then he could only die with Blood Scar. With his current strength, he simply could not escape the shackles of the blood sacrifice array. Is this considered begging for mercy? The corners of Xue Hen's mouth curled into a cold smile. With a wave of his hand, 9 blood-colored spears instantly appeared around him. Xue Hen didn't waste any words. He pressed down with his hand, and 9 blood spears instantly pierced through his body, nailing him to the ground. At this moment, Xue Hen's aura became extremely weak. Chapter 1860. Good move. Although Blood Vulture and Blood Scar were both heavily injured and barely breathing, Blood Vulture couldn't help but admire Blood Scar's power. Because Blood Scar's 9 spears didn't even avoid his heart. Blood Scar's attack clearly wanted to take him down with himself. If he didn't stop, he would most likely die from the blood sacrifice array's backlash. On the other side, Tang Ao's face was also pale. Even though Tang Ao's soul remembrance was powerful, he still couldn't handle Blood Vulture's soul remembrance proactively entering his body. Moreover, under the blood mark suppression, Tang Ao's consciousness was already somewhat hazy. With Tang Ao's current soul remembrance strength, if he directly resisted Blood Vulture's soul remembrance, Blood Vulture wouldn't be able to imprint the blood mark into Tang Ao's body. However, once this blood mark entered Tang Ao's body, even if Tang Ao's soul remembrance was slightly stronger than Blood Vulture's, he would still be suppressed by the mark. Haha! Seeing Tang Ao and Blood Scar, Blood Vulture suddenly let out a loud laugh. Subsequently, Tang Ao and Blood Scar saw Blood Vulture take out a blood-red incense from his storage ring. Burning blood incense. Seeing this burning blood incense, Tang Ao and Blood Scar felt a wave of despair. Burning blood incense was a very special treasure. Burning blood incense was ignited by a martial artist's essence blood. Its effect was very simple. It burned the blood to extend one's life. At this moment, Blood Scar and Tang Ao were competing with Blood Vulture to see which side couldn't hold on first. Originally, under Tang Ao and Blood Scar's combined attack, Blood Scar and Tang Ao would most likely be heavily injured, but Blood Vulture would definitely die. However, after Blood Vulture took out this burning blood incense, if this continued, the final result would be Tang Ao and Blood Scar dying, while Blood Vulture would be heavily injured. It was at this moment that the snow-winged spirit cat suddenly attacked. The snow-winged spirit cat opened its mouth and lightly spat out a ball of cold air. The ball of cold air also enveloped the Blood Vulture. At this moment, Blood Vulture couldn't move at all. Seeing the cold air enveloping him, Blood Vulture's eyes showed a trace of panic. He seemed to want to use some method to escape, but how could Tang Ao and Blood Scar do as he wished? Originally, Tang Ao and Xue Ying had only wanted to stall Blood Vulture and see who would fall first. But now that the snow-winged spirit cat had made its move, Blood Vulture would be the one to fall. As Blood Vulture looked on in horror, the snow-winged spirit cat's icy mist slowly enveloped him. Then, Blood Vulture was turned into an ice sculpture. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao and Xue Hen secretly applauded. After freezing the Blood Vulture, the snow-winged spirit cat immediately rushed forward and grabbed the air with its claws. Immediately, 2 ice blades slashed towards the Blood Vulture. Seeing that the snow-winged spirit cat grasped the air, Tang Ao was overjoyed. He didn't waste time teaching it today. However, Tang Ao's happiness didn't last long. His expression changed. Little guy, Dot, This was because Tang Ao's sky polarity eyes had seen Shue Vulture's mouth curl into a complacent smile. Shue Vulture immediately opened his mouth and shot a scarlet spear towards the snow-winged spirit cat. Chapter 1861. Seeing the snow-winged spirit cat fall to the ground, Blood Vulture's eyes revealed a mocking expression. "A beast dares to sneak attack me? You're courting death." As Blood Vulture spoke, the crimson spear flew back again. This time, it stabbed at the snow-winged spirit cat's head. The snow-winged spirit cat was seriously injured and couldn't move at all. If this attack hit, the snow-winged spirit cat would definitely die. Tang Ao wanted to help, but while Tang Ao was restraining Blood Vulture, Tang Ao was also being restrained by Blood Vulture. At this time, if Tang Ao's psyche failed, then Tang Ao would really be branded by Blood Vulture's soul. Beside him, Shue Hen was also unable to split himself into two. Moreover, Shue Hen's current condition was even worse. If this continued, Bloodscar would definitely die. Fortunately, at this moment, the snow-winged spirit cat suddenly flipped over, narrowly avoiding Blood Vulture's crimson spear. Then, the snow-winged spirit cat opened its mouth and caught Blood Vulture off guard. An icicle suddenly pierced Blood Vulture's throat. However, such a fatal injury couldn't do anything to Blood Vulture, but it created an opportunity for Tang Ao and Bloodscar. This time, Tang Ao and Bloodscar were able to force Blood Vulture to this extent because Blood Vulture didn't know Tang Ao had the 9 Dragon Emperor Jade body. After underestimating him, he was caught off guard by Tang Ao and Bloodscar. Even so, Blood Vulture still had the advantage. If this continued, both the snow-winged spirit cat and Tang Ao would likely die here today. Therefore, this time, Tang Ao immediately seized the opportunity. With a flash of golden light, he summoned his battle Sage Bone Life Soul. Then, Tang Ao threw a punch at Blood Vulture, sending him flying. At this moment, although Blood Vulture was frozen by the snow-winged spirit cat's cold air, Tang Ao knew that due to the huge difference in cultivation, the snow-winged spirit cat's cold air couldn't freeze Blood Vulture for long. Therefore, after sending the Blood Vulture flying with a punch, Tang Ao immediately took out his demon-slaying axe. If Tang Ao's cultivation was a little higher, Tang Ao would not have hesitated to attack Blood Vulture. But now, Tang Ao didn't dare to do so. This might be their only chance to escape. If they missed this chance, then Tang Ao would definitely fall here today. Due to Shue Vulture's injuries, the blood mist barrier Shue Vulture had set up was also extremely weak. When Tang Ao suddenly chopped down with the devil beheading axe, the boundary formation in front of Tang Ao was instantly smashed by Tang Ao. After breaking the blood mist boundary formation, Bloodscar knew what to do without Tang Ao's instructions. Although Bloodscar was on the verge of death, he still clenched his teeth and persisted. Blood chi suddenly bloomed from his body and immediately wrapped around Tang Ao and the snow-winged spirit cat. Bam! At the same time, the ice covering Blood Vulture's body shattered. With a wave of his hand, the crimson war spear appeared in Blood Vulture's grasp. Without any hesitation, Blood Vulture hurled the crimson war spear towards the blood mist that had yet to dissipate. With a puff sound, Tang Ao looked at the scarlet blood battle spear that had pierced through his abdomen and smiled bitterly. Then, Tang Ao's voice sounded. "Old Blood Vulture, remember this. If I don't die this time, the next time we meet will be the day you die." Chapter 1862. Although Shue Hen was weaker than him, Shue Vulture had to admit that Shue Hen's blood shadow escape was very powerful. If it was another cultivator with the bloodline, Shue Vulture would be able to track them. However, after Shue Hen used blood shadow escape, Shue Vulture couldn't find any trace of him. Therefore, if Shue Hen wanted to catch Tang Ao and Shue Hen, he would have to try his luck by following the overarching blood net. In a valley several hundred miles away, a cloud of blood mist suddenly appeared in midair. Then a white cat and two human figures fell into a small lake in the valley, completely unconscious. At that moment, there was a pretty girl wearing light green clothes by the lake. She was startled to see Xue Hen and the others, but when she saw Tang Ao, she immediately used her primordial qi to bring Tang Ao, Xue Hen, and the cat to the lakeside. After Lu Yu saw Tang Ao, she was somewhat depressed. This was because Lu Yu discovered that ever since she met Tang Ao, nothing good had happened to her. First, she was besieged by the Lin family's martial artists. Later, after escaping from the Lin family, she encountered an old monster who cultivated a blood attribute cultivation method. After that old monster saw the yellow turban strongman, he chased after her. Finally, she got rid of that monster and met an earth dragon beast that was at the 9th level of the origin martial realm. She was chased by the earth dragon beast and had to escape here not long ago. After escaping here, Lu Yu was surprised to find that she was lost again. Because there was an illusion formation in this area, Lu Yu couldn't leave this area no matter how many times she tried. Out of boredom, Lu Yu came here to fish. She didn't expect that Tang Ao and the others would come before she could catch any fish. Besides, Tang Ao, Xue Hen, and the snow-winged spirit cat seemed to be in a very bad situation. Tang Ao, Xue Hen, and the snow-winged spirit cat were all in a bad situation. After checking Tang Ao's situation, Lu Yu secretly sighed. Tang Ao was really lucky. If she hadn't been there, Tang Ao, Xue Hen, and the snow-winged spirit cat would have been dead by now. Lu Yu did not dare to waste any more time. Among the three of them, Xue Hen's injury was the most serious, while the snow-winged spiritual cat's injury was the lightest. Although Tang Ao's injuries were only slightly better than the bloody scars, Lu Yu realized that there seemed to be a special life soul in Tang Ao's body that was constantly repairing Tang Ao's injuries. Otherwise, Tang Ao would have long perished. Therefore, Lu Yu helped Xue Hen sit up and took out a jade box from his storage ring. Lu Yu skillfully opened the jade box and took out a set of golden needles from it. Then, with a thought, the azure sky cloud flame instantly appeared in Lu Yu's palm. Lu Yu pierced the golden needle through the sky cloud flame and pierced several acupoints on Xue Hen's body. After inserting 72 needles, Lu Yu stopped and hurriedly took out a medicine box from his storage ring. When he opened it, there were many porcelain bottles neatly arranged inside. These porcelain bottles contained different kinds of medicinal liquids. Lu Yu waved his hand, and 36 golden needles instantly flew up. After they were dipped in the medicinal liquids, Lu Yu waved his hand, and the 36 golden needles also flew to Xue Hen's body. Chapter 1863. Using Medicine Ancestor's needle technique consumed a lot of soul remembrance. At this moment, 70% of Lu Yu's soul remembrance was instantly consumed, but Xue Hen's life was saved. Immediately, Lu Yu took out a jade dew pill from her storage ring and gave it to Xue Hen. After eating the jade dew pill, Xue Hen's pale face finally improved a little. Although Xue Hen's aura was still very weak, at this moment, as long as nothing went wrong, Xue Hen would be fine. After recovering a little more, Xue Hen slowly opened his eyes. Although Xue Hen's consciousness was a little muddled before, Xue Hen still knew that he was saved by someone. After opening his eyes and seeing Lu Yu, Xue Hen's eyes showed a rare expression of gratitude. Xue Hen was never someone who expressed his emotions, but at this moment, Xue Hen wanted to thank Lu Yu. However, Xue Hen found that he was too weak right now, so weak that he couldn't even speak. However, as he laid on the bed and watched Lu Yu wipe his sweat with his sleeves, Xue Hen couldn't help but be stunned. Like Tang Ao, it wasn't that Xue Hen hadn't seen beauties before, but unlike Tang Ao, Xue Hen had no interest in women. However, at this moment, Xue Hen found that the young girl in front of him was so gentle and beautiful. When he saw her, his heart began to beat rapidly. Although Xue Hen was heavily injured, he had a feeling that he wanted to protect the young girl in front of him. Was this love at first sight? What a strange feeling. With that thought in mind, a rare smile appeared on Xue Hen's face. After Lu Yu finished arranging the golden needles, She turned back to check on Shui Hen's situation. Seeing that Shui Hen's aura had calmed down, Lu Yu was a little pleased. Shui Hen had suffered such a serious injury, but she was still able to save him. Even if it were her two senior brothers, it would not be easy for them to do this. Very quickly, Lu Yu also saw the smile on Shui Hen's face. Lu Yu was a little confused, not knowing why Shui Hen was smiling. Was it because he didn't die, so he was smiling? Ignoring Shui Hen, Lu Yu went in front of Tang Ao. After looking at Tang Ao and the snow-winged spirit cat, Lu Yu picked it up without any hesitation. Although Lu Yu had saved these three guys because of Tang Ao, he had completely ignored Tang Ao when he was saving them. In the beginning, Lu Yu had saved Bloodscar, who looked pleasing to the eye. Now he was going to save the cute snow-winged spirit cat. At this moment, Tang Ao was in a hazy state. Although he couldn't wake up, Tang Ao was clear about the situation outside. After seeing Lu Yu's actions, Tang Ao felt very indignant. Lu Yu knew him, but Lu Yu chose to save Bloodscar and the snow-winged spirit cat first. Lu Yu was a guy who valued love over friendship. Tang Ao felt that if it wasn't for the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul in his body that constantly repaired the damage in his body, he might really have died in front of the doctor. However, Tang Ao was extremely surprised by Lu Yu's medical skills. Tang Ao knew how serious Bloodscar's injuries were, but it didn't take long for Lu Yu to pull Bloodscar back from the gates of hell. Previously, Tang Ao thought that Lu Yu's best skill was alchemy, but now, Tang Ao knew that compared to Lu Yu's medical skills, Lu Yu's alchemy skills were really not good enough. After seeing Bloodscar's breathing calm down, Tang Ao turned his attention to the snow-winged spirit cat again. Being able to escape this time was thanks to this little guy. Although it was hit by Blood Vulture's Scarlet Blood Battle Spear, Tang Ao saw that Blood Vulture's Scarlet Blood Battle Spear didn't hurt its internal organs. At this moment, the little guy had also fainted because it was exhausted and lost too much blood. Chapter 1864. Following that, Tang Ao saw Lu Yu summon an aqua blue life soul. Tang Ao had never seen this life soul before, but Tang Ao could still sense that it wasn't simple. Tang Ao could sense an endless, gentle force from this life soul. It was somewhat similar to his Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul, but it was weaker than the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul. After all, according to the Heaven Evolution records, the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul was one of the top healing-type life souls. Therefore, it was reasonable that Lu Yu's life soul was inferior to Tang Ao's. Furthermore, with Lu Yu's superb medical skills, a healing-type life soul could only play a supporting role for him. Wisps of warm, azure, primordial energy gently caressed the snow-winged spirit cat's wounds like flowing water. In the battle with Blood Vulture, the snow-winged spirit cat's abdomen had been blasted open by Blood Vulture's Scarlet Blood Battle Spear. At that moment, under the nourishment of Lu Yu's azure life soul, the snow-winged spirit cat's wounds were rapidly healing. At this rate, Tang Ao knew that it wouldn't take long for the snow-winged spirit cat to completely recover from its injuries. Compared to Tang Ao and Bloodscar, the snow-winged spirit cat's injuries weren't too serious. The reason it had fainted was mainly because it had expended too much energy. As long as its external injuries were healed, the snow-winged spirit cat would have no other problems. Although it was unconscious, its expended primordial energy and psyche were slowly recovering. With the passage of time, Tang Ao's consciousness became clearer. Gradually, Tang Ao was able to communicate with the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul. After communicating with the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul, Tang Ao controlled the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul to repair his broken ribs and damaged organs. Although the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul was helping Tang Ao heal his injuries when Tang Ao wasn't controlling it, the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul's intelligence was too low. Without Tang Ao's guidance, it would take a very long time for the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul to repair Tang Ao's injuries. Under Tang Ao's control, Tang Ao's injuries were rapidly repaired by the Jade Bone Life Soul. At the same time, Tang Ao's aura was constantly strengthening. Sensing the change in Tang Ao, Lu Yu turned around to take a look and immediately understood. When he was checking on Tang Ao's injuries, Lu Yu realized that there was a very powerful healing-type life soul in Tang Ao's body. Now that Tang Ao had recovered a little, he could control this life soul to heal him. Not long after, Tang Ao opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. How did you end up in such a sorry state? Lu Yu didn't turn his head as he healed the snow-winged spirit cat and asked Tang Ao. It's all thanks to you this time. I encountered a powerful guy and was ambushed by him. Tang Ao and Lu Yu had a good relationship. Furthermore, Lu Yu had saved the three of them, so Tang Ao naturally didn't hide it from Lu Yu. There was no need to hide it either. The Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul was indeed powerful. Tang Ao sensed that his external injuries had basically recovered. He could only slowly adjust his yuan, qi, and psyche. Bragging. You were able to escape from a powerful guy's sneak attack. Lu Yu looked at Tang Ao with some disdain. Then he asked, how powerful? 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm. Tang Ao bitterly smiled because Tang Ao felt that if he said it, Lu Yu would think that he was lying. After all, Tang Ao was only at the 1st level of the Origin Martial Realm. Bloodscar was a bit stronger than Tang Ao, but he was only at the 5th level of the Origin Martial Realm. The Snow-Winged Spirit Cat had the highest cultivation, reaching the 6th level of the Origin Martial Realm. However, it was too young, so it clearly couldn't display the combat power of the 6th level Origin Martial Realm. Chapter 1865. You also know about Blood Vulture? With just a glance, Tang Ao knew that this person was Blood Vulture, who had fought with him before. However, Tang Ao didn't understand how Lu Yu knew about Blood Vulture. Not long ago, he saw my yellow scarf warrior and wanted to steal my storage ring. It was because of this person that I escaped all the way here. After coming here, I seem to have been trapped by some kind of barrier. In any case, no matter what method I use, I can't leave this place. It seems that I've been here for more than 10 days. Before coming to the Flying Star Continent, Lu Yu's cultivation had reached the Yin-Yang realm, which was higher than Tang Ao's cultivation. Moreover, Lu Yu also had many methods, but after coming here, Lu Yu really had no way of leaving. You can't leave this place. Tang Ao frowned. He didn't think that Lu Yu was lying to him. At the same time, he also knew Lu Yu's ability. Originally, Tang Ao planned to refine top-grade essence raising pills for the next few days and participate in the 9-Color Deer Merchant Guild's 100-year celebration 5 days later. However, if he was trapped here, they would be a bit troublesome. This area has a very powerful no-fly restriction. I can't fly too high, and if I fly for too long, I will also feel a sense of dizziness. If I had to walk, I would have walked through almost all the roads here, but no matter where I go, I will definitely be able to walk back to this place. This thatched hut was here before, but I don't know what lived here before. If Tang Ao had walked in from the outside, then he could still leave by following Tang Ao's path. However, Tang Ao had used Bloodscar's Blood Shadow escape to come here, so Tang Ao naturally didn't know which way to go. However, since Bloodscar's Blood Shadow escape could come from the outside, then he could naturally leave from the inside. Therefore, if he couldn't leave when the time came, he could let Bloodscar use Blood Shadow escape to leave. However, after looking at Bloodscar, Tang Ao was a bit worried. Bloodscar's injuries weren't light. Tang Ao felt that Bloodscar wouldn't be able to recover before the 9-Colored Deer auction began. After all, the Blood Sacrifice Great Array could be said to be fatal to a cultivator who cultivated a bloodline cultivation method. If Shuehin had not decisively used the Blood Sacrifice Great Array, Tang Ao felt that it would not have been so easy for him to escape. Meow. As Lu Yu stroked the snow-winged spirit cat's head, the cat woke up. When it woke up, it found that a stranger was touching its head. It immediately cried out. The reason why it only called out was that the snow-winged spirit cat knew that it was this big sister who had just saved it. Otherwise, if it was a stranger, it would have scratched her. Lu Yu was obviously very fond of this little fellow. He immediately took out a bottle of spirit beast pills from his storage ring. Lu Yu's alchemy skills were not much weaker than Tang Ao's. At this stage, the two of them could be said to be evenly matched. However, the spirit beast pill that Lu Yu had concocted was slightly different from the one that Tang Ao had concocted. Both the pill recipe and the color of the pill were different. Chapter 1866. Little fellow, do you want to eat? Looking at the snow-winged spirit cat, Lu Yu shook the jade bottle in his hand. Hearing Lu Yu's words, the snow-winged spirit cat hastily nodded its head and lightly jumped into Lu Yu's embrace. Its small claws lightly scratched Lu Yu's arm. This little greedy cat. Tang Ao saw the snow-winged spirit cat act like this and felt a bit helpless. This little fellow now followed whoever gave it food. Lu Yu couldn't help but giggle at the snow-winged spirit cat's affectionate behavior. Unable to resist the snow-winged spirit cat's expectant gaze, Lu Yu took out a spirit beast pill and handed it over. After receiving the spiritual beast pill from Lu Yu, the little fellow swallowed it and a joyful expression appeared on its face. Although Lu Yu's spirit beast pill was different from Tang Ao's, the effects were about the same. After resting for another 2 hours, Tang Ao had pretty much recovered. Because Lu Yu said before that this region couldn't be flown for long, and that no matter where one went, they would eventually return here, Tang Ao planned on going out to take a look. Because Lu Yu had said that they could not fly in this area for a long time, and no matter where they went, they would eventually return to this place. So Tang Ao decided to go out and have a look. Compared to Lu Yu, Tang Ao's remembrance was stronger, and Tang Ao also had heavenly extreme pupils. Compared to Lu Yu, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was stronger, and Tang Ao also had heavenly extreme pupils. I'm going out for a walk and see if I can discover anything. After resting, Tang Ao got up and said to Lu Yu, I'm going out for a walk to see if I can find anything. After resting, Tang Ao stood up and said to Lu Yu. Lu Yu nodded. Don't worry, I've tried many times before. Then I'll have to trouble you to take care of the two of them. Tang Ao looked at the snow-winged spirit cat happily playing in Lu Yu's embrace. Tang Ao knew that this little fellow clearly wouldn't go with him. As for the unconscious blood scar, it definitely wouldn't go with him. However, leaving the snow-winged spirit cat here was also good. Right now, Lu Yu is only at the origin martial realm's 2nd level. If something happened, the snow-winged spirit cat could protect Lu Yu and Bloodscar. Although this space was strange, there were also many demonic beasts. Tang Ao had just used his soul remembrance to investigate. In the surroundings of this thatched cottage, there were many low-rank demonic beasts. This seemed to be a relatively safe place because the demonic beasts nearby were all very weak. They were basically all under the 9th level of the body refinement realm. However, Tang Ao was also afraid that something unexpected would happen. After all, Bloodscar was seriously injured and unconscious. He didn't have any fighting strength. If he took the snow-winged spirit cat away at that time, as long as a monstrous beast around the 3rd level of the origin realm came, Shuehin and Lu Yu would be finished. After informing Lu Yu, Tang Ao left the thatched cottage. Although Lu Yu had mentioned that this place had a very powerful flight restriction formation, Tang Ao still flew into the air with a surge of Yuan Qi. As soon as he flew up, Tang Ao discovered that something was wrong. There was some kind of powerful forbidden space array in this space. When Tang Ao was about 4 or 5 feet above the ground, he felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him. If he wanted to continue upwards, he wouldn't be able to do it. Not only that, even if he simply stayed in the air, Tang Ao could feel that his Yuan Qi and soul remembrance were quickly being consumed. According to this consumption rate, even if Tang Ao's Yuan Qi was vigorous and his soul remembrance was abundant, he could only fly for 300 breaths of time. Chapter 1867. After observing for a while and not finding anything special, Tang Ao randomly chose one of the paths to enter. When walking in, Tang Ao felt a weak fluctuation of energy, but other than that, this mountain path was no different from an ordinary mountain path. Along the way, Tang Ao saw some good spirit grasses, so he picked them conveniently. Because there were too many spiritual grasses here, Tang Ao collected spiritual grasses along the way and almost forgot that he was here to explore. When Tang Ao remembered, he could only smile bitterly. Although Tang Ao looked up, he immediately saw the small lake in the middle of the valley, and there was a thatched cottage next to the small lake. At this moment, Lu Yu was playing with the snow-winged spiritual cat outside the cottage. After seeing Tang Ao, Lu Yu smiled and said, "How is it? I was right. No matter where you go, you will eventually return to this place." Let me try again." Tang Ao also smiled and did not care. However, Tang Ao felt that the reason why he did not find anything was because his attention was attracted by the surrounding spiritual herbs. There were many spiritual herbs here, and many of them were even marked as rare in the 100 herb collection. Others might not know what it meant to mark rare spiritual herbs on the 100 herb collection, but Tang Ao was very clear in his heart. Spiritual herbs that were marked as rare on the 100 herb collection could basically be regarded as extinct. But even so, Tang Ao still saw a lot of spiritual herbs in this place. Just now, Tang Ao was attracted by these spiritual herbs, so he did not pay attention to the road. At this moment, in the space of Tang Ao's chaotic six-light mirror, a simple spiritual herb garden had been formed. Luo Yunshang was holding a medicinal hoe in her hand, helping Tang Ao transplant these spiritual herbs. If it wasn't for the fact that this place was a bit strange, Tang Ao wanted Luo Yunshang to come outside. Although cultivating in the primal chaos hexagram mirror was faster than cultivating in the outside world, and the primal chaos hexagram mirror was very quiet and safe, Tang Ao was afraid that the little girl would be bored to death. With a thought, Tang Ao disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was inside the primal chaos six-light mirror. Seeing Tang Ao, Luo Yunshang's face lit up and said, "Senior Tang Ao, I have broken through to the first level of Origin Martial Realm. Also, I transplanted the spiritual herbs you put in. Junior Yunshang, you've worked hard. Do you want to go out for some fresh air? Oh, I forgot to tell you, Lu Yu is here too." Tang Ao suddenly recalled that Luo Yunshang and Lu Yu had left together. However, because of Shue Vulture, the three of them had been separated. "Sister Lu Yu is here too? Senior Tang Ao, where are you right now?" Hearing that Lu Yu was safe, Luo Yunshang was very happy. After all, Lu Yu single-handedly attracted a terrifying expert away. Then, Luo Yunshang said to Tang Ao, "Senior Tang Ao, I think I should cultivate here. I feel like this place is quite suitable for cultivation." Chapter 1868. After Luo Yunshang agreed to stay here to cultivate, Tang Ao took out many techniques and cultivation resources for her. Although Tang Ao had previously given Luo Yunshang quite a bit, and Luo Yunshang still hadn't finished using them, Tang Ao clearly wouldn't be stingy towards Luo Yunshang. Previously, it was because Luo Yunshang looked like La Kale. Now, it was because Tang Ao already treated Luo Yunshang as his sister. Towards his sister, Tang Ao wouldn't be stingy. After giving the cultivation resources to Luo Yunshang and answering Luo Yunshang's cultivation problems, Tang Ao began to continue exploring the canyon. Although Tang Ao still saw many decent spirit herbs, this time Tang Ao didn't start harvesting them. Instead, he carefully observed the changes in his surroundings. However, there was no difference from before. As Tang Ao walked, he discovered that he could see the small lake in the center of the canyon again. To this, Tang Ao was very shocked. This situation was definitely caused by an array. However, what Tang Ao didn't understand was that throughout the entire process, Tang Ao didn't sense any fluctuations from an array. One had to know that during the exploration, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was constantly covering the surroundings. However, even so, Tang Ao still didn't find any traces of an array in the canyon. Tang Ao didn't stop. He continued to choose a mountain path. This time, Tang Ao directly opened his heavenly pole pupils and observed his surroundings as he walked. However, not long after, Tang Ao returned to the center of the canyon without any accidents, just like the previous few times. The small lake with its calm surface appeared in front of Tang Ao. Even so, Tang Ao didn't give up. Others wouldn't turn back until they hit a wall, but Tang Ao obviously wouldn't turn back even if he hit a wall. Because if even the sky polar eyes could not discover the secret of this valley, it meant that this valley was extraordinary. It could also mean that there were some unimaginable opportunities in this valley. At the same time, if Tang Ao couldn't understand the mysteries of this valley, he wouldn't be able to use the blood shadow escape technique to take them away after Bloodscar woke up. Then, things would be troublesome. Therefore, no matter what, Tang Ao had to understand the secret of this canyon as soon as possible. 5 days later, the Nine-Colored Deer Commerce's 100-year celebration was extremely important to Tang Ao. Putting aside everything else, Tang Ao had to obtain the map to the Earth Firestone ruins. If he wanted to refine the 3-treasure Blood Lotus pill for Bloodscar, it was obviously not enough to use an ordinary alchemic fire. He had to obtain the Earth Fire Essence to upgrade the Netherworld Flame. After the upgrade of the Earth Fire Essence, the Netherworld Flame would no longer have its original cold Een attribute. Tang Ao could use the Netherworld Flame to refine pills in the future. Moreover, Tang Ao only had one chance to refine the 3-treasure Blood Lotus pill. The other spirit herbs were fine, but the main material, the 3-treasure Blood Lotus, Tang Ao only had one. If he failed to refine it, then Tang Ao could only use the space-breaking talisman to take everyone away. However, Tang Ao felt that under the circumstances where he was fully prepared, it wouldn't be easy to fail. Chapter 1869. After coming to a stop, Tang Ao sat cross-legged on a boulder. Tang Ao then began to recall the situation of the various paths in the canyon. Soon, a 3-dimensional map of the canyon appeared in Tang Ao's mind. Tang Ao was taken aback by just one glance. When all these things were combined, the entire canyon was actually a formation. Tang Ao had never seen this formation before, but Tang Ao still recognized it. It was the Chemin Duanjia Formation. Moreover, it was the Chemin Duanjia Formation that was constructed using the topography of the land, a supreme formation that used all things in the world as its formation flags. After understanding that this was an extremely high-level formation, Tang Ao felt much more at ease. Since he had determined that this was a formation and even recognized it, the next thing he had to do was to figure out how to break the formation. Tang Ao was worried that no matter what he did, he would not be able to find out what kind of existence this canyon was. That would be the most troublesome thing. If Lu Yu's formation skills were on par with her alchemy skills, Tang Ao would have discussed it with Lu Yu. However, Lu Yu's mastery of formations was obviously lacking. Otherwise, Lu Yu would not have been trapped here for more than 10 days without any results. Using heaven and earth as the formation board, and all things as the formation flags. This was a formation that belonged to the highest realm of formations. The level of this formation might not be very high, but if one wanted to break this formation, unless one was an extremely talented person, it would be impossible for them to do so even if they spent their entire life. Tang Ao was definitely not talented in formations. Otherwise, Tang Ao would not have been unable to break through to become a grade 1 immortal formation master, having inherited Yun Xiaoyao's formation skills for so long. Moreover, this was also because the 9 Dragons Emperor's Jade Body was born with a clear understanding of all great Tao. This allowed Tang Ao to learn forging weapons, refining pills, and formations very quickly. Furthermore, He had the guidance of an expert like Yin Xiaoyao. However, even under such conditions, Tang Ao could only set up a grade 6 spiritual formation. From this, it was clear that Tang Ao's talent in formations was only average. However, this was also because Tang Ao spent the least time on array formations. Most of Tang Ao's time was spent on cultivation. As for alchemy, artifact refining, array formations, and the like, Tang Ao would only practice them when necessary or when he had free time. Therefore, Tang Ao's progress in terms of artifact crafting and array formations was really slow. Before Tang Ao threw out formation flags. Of course, Tang Ao did not throw out these formation flags to break the Qimen Duanjiao formation. Instead, he wanted to restore everything within the Qimen Duanjiao formation into formation flags and observe the changes of the Qimen Duanjiao formation. Among all the formations, the Qimen Duanjiao formation had the most changes. The better the formation master's understanding of formations, the more changes there would be in the Qimen Duanjiao formation. Tang Ao did not know how powerful the formation master who had set up the Qimen Duanjiao formation was, but Tang Ao knew that the formation master must have been far more capable than him. Otherwise, it would not have been so difficult for Tang Ao to use the formation flags in the wasteland. A day passed quickly, but Tang Ao still did not make much progress. Chapter 1870. It was just that Tang Ao found that these array flags were relatively easy to locate at the front, but the further he went, the more difficult it became for Tang Ao to determine the position of these array flags. The 18th array flag in Tang Ao's hand took Tang Ao a full 2 hours to put down. One had to know that the previous 17 array flags, Tang Ao only used this much time. Phew! After letting out a slight breath, Tang Ao calmed himself down and once again studied this Qimen Duanjiao array. This time, Tang Ao directly closed his eyes and used his heart to perceive the rhythm of everything around him. In the beginning, this kind of perception was still a bit vague, but as Tang Ao concentrated, everything around him quickly became clear. Just like Tang Ao's judgment just now, Tang Ao felt that the entire canyon did indeed form a magnificent array formation, and this array formation replaced the array flags with natural things. After carefully sensing for a moment, Tang Ao suddenly felt shocked. This was because Tang Ao found that things were not as simple as he thought. At this moment, Tang Ao felt that everything in this canyon, since appearing in the canyon, had become a special array flag, also participating in the evolution of the array formation in the canyon. This canyon was changing all the time. Every time a monstrous beast died or a new monstrous beast was born, the array flags were also changing. A flower withered, a grass drilled out of a crack in a rock. These changes were subtly affecting the evolution of the array formation. After feeling this, Tang Ao suddenly felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. Although there was no such thing as an unbreakable array formation in this world, after seeing this array formation, Tang Ao really did not have any confidence in his heart. Tang Ao did not know whether this array formation could be broken, but Tang Ao knew that at present he was afraid that he really did not have the ability to do so. Just as Tang Ao had this idea, Tang Ao suddenly felt shocked. This is the death gate, because just now, Tang Ao suddenly saw himself appear in the position of the death gate. Unable to leave this formation, would he be trapped here until he died? Tang Ao muttered in his heart. No, this was definitely not what Tang Ao wanted to see. No matter what, Tang Ao had to leave this place. Although there was no danger in this place, there were no Yuan crystals or spirit chi. If he only relied on Yuan chi to train, then even if Tang Ao trained until he died, he would not be able to reach the Sea of Soul's realm. Therefore, Tang Ao had to leave this place and go to a wider world. Although this array formation was powerful, Tang Ao didn't believe that he could be blocked by a mere array formation. At the thought of this, Tang Ao's heart was once again ignited. At this moment, a ray of hope appeared in the death gate. As long as the heavenly Tao did not end, there would still be a ray of hope. Moreover, this array formation was only set up by a powerful array master. Although Tang Ao had not found any loopholes in this array formation, Tang Ao did not believe that there was a perfect array formation in this world. Just as Tang Ao was about to carefully look for loopholes, Tang Ao suddenly stopped. Everything in this array formation was its array flag. Under such circumstances, it was almost impossible for Tang Ao to find a loophole in this array formation. Chapter 1871. Suddenly, Tang Ao thought of a question. Why would someone arrange such a powerful array formation in this canyon? This array formation could be said to be impossible to get out of. As long as one came into the array formation and did not know how to break it, they would be trapped in the array formation for the rest of their lives. Such an array formation made Tang Ao feel that this seemed to be a relic left by a top powerhouse, and the descendants of this powerhouse must have the right way to break the array formation. After breaking this array formation, there must be something hidden in the array formation. After thinking of this, Tang Ao immediately began to deduce along this line of thought. Soon, Tang Ao discovered that this array formation might really be hiding something. It was just that Tang Ao had not determined the position of the array formation yet. Tang Ao's hands continued to throw out array flags. After thinking for a moment and feeling that something was wrong, Tang Ao changed the array flags in the wrong position. On the third day, Tang Ao suddenly felt the huge array formation in front of him suddenly tremble. Then, Tang Ao was surprised to see that at this moment, the array formation that he had arranged no longer needed his control and was operating on its own. However, compared to the array flags that used everything in the world, Tang Ao's array formation was obviously much worse. But Tang Ao's heart was still very good, because at this moment, Tang Ao had used array flags to restore this Chimin Dunjia array, so it was not impossible to break the array formation. At this moment, Tang Ao already had some ideas, but in the end, Tang Ao did not understand how to do it. However, before breaking the array formation, Tang Ao saw something different. That is, there was a blank space in this array formation. For Tang Ao, this Chimin Dunjia array was already the most perfect array formation that Tang Ao had seen since he started cultivating array Dao. However, such an array formation actually had a blank space, which made Tang Ao feel a little strange. One had to know that a blank space in an array formation was a low-level mistake. Only those array masters who had just started learning array formations would make such a mistake. An array master who could set up such a level of array master was naturally not a beginner array master. Why would such a powerful array, Dao expert, leave a blank space in the array? Tang Ao pondered. Soon, Tang Ao's eyes lit up. Tang Ao clapped his hands and said, "I understand." In this formation, it could be said that everything changed according to the changes of the formation flags in the formation. However, there was a blank space in the formation. The blank space was not affected by the formation and would not change according to the changes of the formation. Therefore, Tang Ao already knew what this blank space was for. Without even thinking about it, Tang Ao knew that there must be treasures in this specially left blank area. It was just that he didn't know what kind of treasure was hidden here, or if it was the remains of some powerhouse. Putting away the array flags, Tang Ao carefully identified some positions. Then, Tang Ao's eyes were a little stunned, because the blank space that Tang Ao had just identified was actually diagonally behind Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao really felt that it was not the so-called blank space, because there were actually 3 mountains that were hundreds of feet tall. Moreover, under the observation of the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao was sure that there were really 3 mountains, and definitely not an illusion created by the illusion array. Even so, Tang Ao still walked towards the 3 mountains. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.